the Tigers. It's SEC football, presented by Allstate. With Matt Stinchcomb and Chris Button, I'm Taylor Zarzer. Welcome to Williams-Brice. Last week, Stinch, Jake Bentley, the quarterback who started the last 24 games for the Gamecocks, was banged up in the loss to Kentucky, and he's not out there now.
It's a sizable void for South Carolina offensively. This is a unit that was transitioning throughout the offseason and has had difficulty establishing long stretches of consistency. We've seen moments where the offense has worked well. We haven't seen that level of consistency that they've been seeking. Now you take out that key component, your veteran signal caller in Jake Bentley, and you insert a very inexperienced quarterback in Michael Scarnecchia.
We'll see Scarnecchia today, who had one career pass attempt against LSU 3 years ago when Steve Spurrier was still coaching the team. Before this season, he did come into the game on the last possession last week in the loss to Kentucky. Tucker McCann will kick it, and he does kick it over Debo's head. Barry Odom said, please do not kick it to number one today. Debo is fully healthy after that injury last season, but some of his teammates are not. Bentley is a backup today to Scarnecchia. Edwards is nursing an ankle injury but will play. You see Jam Williams on defense. Tyson Williams didn't play last week. JT eBay in the backfield, or the secondary, and Eldridge Thompson, the linebacker, are not dressed for this one. So Michael Scarnecchia, the redshirt senior from Fleming Island, Florida, making his first career start. And pistol set with Rico Dowdle getting the handoff. And he's ahead for a couple of yards. Scarnecchia threw his only career touchdown pass in the first game of the season against Coastal Carolina. There you see his number, Stinch, most of which came last week in Lexington.
Yeah, you're looking at a quarterback who has not seen any significant time over the course of his career. A daunting task, facing a very, very explosive offense on the other side. On
the reverse, it's Debo Samuel, and he is caught up in the backfield as Terry Beckner and others were there. You see Therese Hall as well. Chris Button, what'd you see from Scarnecchia warming up?
Well, he looked good, but I think the other interesting information is that Jake Bentley is cleared to play, and Will Muschamp told me he would be available. He went through full warm-ups. He is wearing a large brace on the left knee.
And that was the thing, Stinch, coming into this game. Could he protect himself? Clearly could not plant off of that left leg last week at the end of the game in Lexington. Gamecocks 3rd and 14, and underneath throw is completed to Keel Pollard, but that is well short of the first down. It's a quick 3 and out.
And the challenge, obviously, for South Carolina is their best players are going to have to elevate their game all the more around their quarterback today. You know that they're not going to ask too much of number 12 early on in this ballgame. You want to get your ground game established. You tried to get a touch to Debo Samuel. Great job by the Missouri defense getting that negative yardage play, something that unit has not done a very good job of all season, to get South Carolina behind the down and distance and force the punt.
Joseph Charlton, excellent punter. Junior from here in Columbia. Fair catch made by Jonathan Johnson. There is a flag down as he makes that catch at the 33-yard line. It's David Smith, today's referee, nursing a left arm injury that he suffered last week at Auburn.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. More than 4 players in the backfield. That 5-yard penalty will be added at the end of the kick. First down.
Let's get some more on the field from Chris Button.
Taylor, this is a place that Drew Lock loves to play. He called it one of the top 2 atmospheres in the country. And that's despite having a water bottle thrown here at 2016. When the bottle was thrown at him, he picked it up, took a sip. Maybe not the best idea. So he decided this time, hey, he'd welcome some water bottles thrown his way, but he won't drink out of them. Instead, he'll just make a collection on the bench. Probably a good idea.
Well said. Drew Lock, the senior from Lee's Summit, Missouri, is one of the best passers in SEC history. As Larry Roundtree in the backfield, and Larry gets it, and he's past the 40-yard line near the 44. TJ Brunson on the tackle after 6 yards. Locke is 6th in SEC history with 82 touchdown passes. Could pass Tim Tebow, Chris Leak and Peyton Manning in the next few weeks and end his career 3rd all-time. Big-time numbers as he fakes out of the backfield and throws incomplete to Jonathan Johnson. Good job stepping in front of it. It's the freshman J.C. Horn.
And Missouri's going to be shorthanded today. We talk about the mass unit for South Carolina. As Locke tries to jam one in there to Jonathan Johnson. He is the slot threat and will have to emerge in this game along with Albert Okuwebanam and Kendall Blanton, because no Emmanuel Hall, the SEC's leading receiver, available today for the Missouri offense.
Injuries all over the field for both of these teams. That's a big one with Hall out. Here's the pitch to Roundtree, and he's got the edge and a 1st down.
This is the element of Missouri's offense this season that's different from a year ago. So you're looking at 3rd and 3 plus 3rd and 4. Last year you're running the football, maybe you try to slip a draw, or you're passing the football and slip a draw. Instead, you get a toss and get big Paul Adams out in front for the conversion.
1st and 10 in Gamecocks territory. And a fake. Locke with all day, loads up and wide open near the end zone is Jalen Knox. There's a flag that comes in as well, and it is initially ruled a 45-yard touchdown.
Keyshawn Nixon was in coverage, and it was a double
Holding
move.
on the defense, number 9. Penalties declined. Result of the play, touchdown.
Off the heavy play action, you take a shot up top after a run conversion on 3rd down, a double move outside in man coverage, and Jalen Knox, the true freshman, able to get underneath Keyshawn Nixon. Nixon with the hold, but it was basically when the receiver restarted his route, and Nixon said, look, I'm just going to try to recover. If you're going to hold him better than that. You ended up likely giving up a touchdown.
All right, let's take another look at this to see if, in fact, Knox did get in the end zone. Doug Linebarger up here today taking a look at this.
Now he's short. You can see he's down right there. The ball is in his left arm. Down right there with his right elbow, shy of the goal line. But you see Missouri early in this game. We were talking about whether or not there will be a deep threat, able to get a shot over the top of the defense. That lingers in a secondary's mind.
After further review, the receiver was down at the 1-yard line. It will be 1st and goal at the 1, Missouri.
And with that completion, Drew Lock goes over 10,000 yards in his career.
And as you may have mentioned earlier, you're talking about that's some pretty heady company. Last time he had a 10,000-yard passer was Aaron Murray. Holds a couple SEC passing records, and Drew Lock has been able to assemble quite the career at Missouri, amassing these types of yards, and he's only going to add to it through the balance of this season. This offense is just as explosive, piling up the yards and the points as they did a year ago.
Can Mizzou run the football? That's Derek Dooley, the offensive coordinator's charge as he came in this season. And here's Larry Roundtree. The answer is yes. Touchdown, Mizzou.
Quite the establishing drive. You come out, you get a conversion on the ground on 3rd down, and then you walk into the end zone. TJ Brunson scraping over the top, doesn't get there in time, and nice block at the point of attack by Daniel Parker to get Larry Roundtree into the end zone.
Sophomore from Raleigh, Larry Roundtree with the touchdown. And Tucker McCann's extra point is good. Flag does come in here. It's Keyshawn Nixon.
Running into the kicker, number 9 on the defense. Penalties declined. Result of the play, the try is good.
Well, the Gamecocks go 3 and out, and then Mizzou marches right down the field very quickly with the deep ball to Jalen Knox that sets up Larry Roundtree. Missouri Tigers ahead in the Columbia Bowl.
When redesigning the Honda Pilot, we thought, why not make it adventurous? Okay, maybe not that adventurous. Why not roomy? And of course, why not genius? The redesigned Pilot from Honda.
Barry Odom is in his third season as the head coach at Mizzou, off to a rough start, 4-8, then 1-5 at the midway mark last year, but has won 9 of his last 11 games, lost to the Dogs 2 weeks ago in a hard battle against Georgia in Columbia, has won 4 straight on the road during that nice stretch in the last 11 games, and he did say, Stinch, that during the bye week, he went straight into South Carolina game prep, which he's never done before in an open week. It's paying off so far. And how about this? An onside kick, but that's not going to go far enough, and a penalty against Mizzou.
Wow, trying to steal a possession early in this game and not very well executed. And you're just trying to kick a dribbler. You want to catch that return team, that front line dropping. They don't watch the ball sometimes, and you want it to eke just over 10 yards downfield. This time, runs out of gas, never makes the 10 yards, hits the flag, and now phenomenal starting field position for South Carolina, and you've gifted an inexperienced quarterback with an opportunity to put your offense in scoring position. It's an aggressive call early in this game by Missouri.
You understand that Coach Odom doesn't want to kick it to Debo, but kick it to someone else in front of him and play some defense.
The kick was touched at 7 yards. That is illegal touching at the 7. Number 20 was offsides on the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty will be added from the spot. First down, South Carolina.
So South Carolina will start this possession on just the outside of field goal range.
So you're sitting over there, you're going, look, we went 3 and out. Our opponent goes right down the field as you see a coaching opportunity here on the sideline. Trying to debrief what happened here on the onside kick. That one never, of course, had a chance. And now South Carolina has to capitalize, needs to establish confidence and climb back onto the scoreboard.
Scarnecchia, middle of the field is open, and there's Debo, and he's tackled inside the 5. 32 yards for the speedster from Inman, South Carolina.
Well, there's no better way to try to make your opponent pay by a mistake in special teams and get the ball to number 1.
Very quickly, Scarnecchia hands it to Dowdle, who is tackled at the line of scrimmage, 2nd and goal.
And Dowdle's a guy that has to step up as well. So Debo Samuel gets the one slant, gets almost in the end zone. You're knocking on the door. Rico Dowdle, he is the most productive offensive player for South Carolina right now. 96 all-purpose yards, an excellent receiver out of the backfield. But he's been relatively inconsistent. You need to get his touches. He needs to get established, especially down here in the low red zone.
See 2 tight ends at the bottom of your screen. And Scarnecchia will throw the fade, and it is caught. Brian Edwards, touchdown Gamecocks.
Missouri sold out against the run. Brian Edwards finding the corner of the end zone. You see coverage falls down to Cam Hilton, number 89. So we've seen Debo step up. Rico Dowdle's got to get going. Brian Edwards is the 3rd. He is one of the stars on offense that is going to have to step up big in Jake Bentley's absence. Scarnecchia, you see the foot down. Ball in hand, completes this pass. What an answer, a way to capitalize on a huge opportunity, a gift on a poorly executed onside kick early in this game.
Edwards with a catch in his 30th straight game. Parker White's extra point is good. Missouri rolls the dice, attempting an onside kick, and the Gamecocks make them pay. Michael Scarnecchia with his 2nd career touchdown pass. to Brian Edwards, tie game.
Feast on one of Longhorn's steakhouse cuts. 12-ounce New York strip, center cut Flo's filet. For a limited time, 14-ounce Delmonico. The feeling, the flavor, the place. Longhorn Steakhouse. You can't fake steak.
Have you seen some keys? Oh, thanks, sir.
Well, let's look at Mayhem Moment, brought to you by Allstate. Tucker McCann attempts the onside kick, bounces backwards, doesn't go far enough. South Carolina starts at their Missouri's 37-yard line, and ultimately it's a 5-yard touchdown pass from Scarnecchia to Edwards, and it's a tie game.
A gift. I mean, it was a gift of field position, something South Carolina never benefited from last week versus Kentucky. The average starting field position for the Gamecocks on offense was their own 19-yard line.
Alex Wozniak kicking off, and Mizzou will start at the 25-yard line. And now let's go back to the studio for an update from Arkansas with DirecTV. More for your college football thing. They're still scoring touchdowns. They never stop.
They even score when they fumble.
Great to have Darian all day today as Drew Lock fakes the handoff and rifles one to Albert O for a first down catch. Boy, has he come on strong the last couple of weeks. Okue Bunam had 9 catches against Georgia, and he might be their top target today.
He's a guy that's going to step up big, and we're going to have to keep an eye on who has him in coverage, because not only can he run 4.6 40, that's plenty enough speed and space, but it's his size that allows him to be open even when coverage is draped on him.
It's 12 yards. Now Tyler Beatty, the true freshman from Memphis, Tennessee, gets the carry for 4 yards. It's been by committee in the backfield so far this season for Mizzou. You saw Roundtree's touchdown a few moments ago. He leads the team in carries. Demarie Crockett just behind him, who's in the game now. But Tyler Beatty was on the field in a running situation, putting the game away against Purdue. It's basically who has the hot hand. Crockett gets rocked in the backfield here as Bryson Allen Williams was there.
And number 4 has been the detonator for this Gamecock defense. He's the one that flashes when you watch South Carolina play. You know, they've been without DJ Wana most of this season. And so Bryson Allen Williams, an outside linebacker, and a lot of times you'll see him with his hands in the dirt, especially on 3rd and long downs, just like this one. He has really made his presence felt. He's at the top of your screen right here.
Locke with all day was unsure what to do, and finally that man on your screen makes the tackle and forces Mizzou to punt.
Neither one of these defenses generate a ton of negative yardage plays, but both offenses have been undone by tackles behind the line of scrimmage. This time, excellent coverage downfield. South Carolina was willing to wait at the line of scrimmage, drop into coverage, nowhere to go with the football. And Drew Lock, who is more mobile than he's given credit for on the ground, back-to-back negative yardage plays by number 4.
The 4 sack Mizzou has allowed this year is Corey Fatoni, one of the best in the country, with the kick to Brian Edwards, who will field it, and he's tackled back at his 10-yard line. Fatoni with a 54-yard punt. Gamecocks will start at their own 10. Tie game.
The Nazis are purging American history.
We need to wake people up fast.
I believe in her. Just give me something I can fight for.
We can end it.
so the game was tense, all right? 7 seconds left, down 3, 4th and 3. Only option he has, field goal, tie it up, force OT.
Oh my God, this is too good.
But Will decided to run an even crazier play. Will's play call became legendary. Quavo loved it so much, name dropped him on a track. I'm a legend like Will. Will's play call got its own ESPN 30 for 30 and a chain. I'm a legend like Will.
Heck of a play call.
Rated E for everyone.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate, reminding you that football season is mayhem. And in part by ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
What do you think the temperature is today for Cocky?
Inside of that thing?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm more concerned with the odor than I am the temperature. I don't know, how do you launder those things?
Right around 90 degrees here in Columbia as Matt Stinchcomb, child of the Deep South, is pleading for some fall weather to arrive.
Just because you grew up in it doesn't mean you get used to it.
Michael Skarnecchia starting today, hands to A.J. Turner, and Turner is corralled at the 10, Chris Budden.
Taylor, watching Skarnecchia on the sidelines after that last touchdown, you can tell his demeanor has changed. Before on that first possession, he was in his own head, just standing there thinking, not really talking to anyone, now cheering, and has really been vocal.
He has, and now you see Shi Smith make the catch. Shi is in for a first down right at the sticks. He has really come on as a sophomore, and he needs to. Brian Edwards' ankle is bothering him, and Ortre Smith is out for the season.
And that perimeter passing game is going to have to emerge in this game.
Look how much faster South Carolina goes with Brian McClendon now calling the plays as Turner goes around the left side for a few. Cale Garrett, the tackling machine for Mizzou there.
Part of the goal is, and you see outside runs, a quick perimeter pass, get these big D linemen running side to side.
Turner up the gut and keeps the wheels going. It'll be 3rd and 2.
This is a gut check play for this defensive front from Missouri. We hadn't seen a ton of snaps for either one of these defensive units, but Missouri this year has played much better along the line of scrimmage and especially inside.
3 straight to Turner, and the 3rd does not pay off as the Missouri Tigers defensive front is there. Cale Garrett, leading tackler, team captain, meets Turner, and the Gamecocks are forced to punt.
Cale Garrett crashing towards the line of scrimmage, adjusted, looked like he was going to shoot right there in the A gap, right alongside Donnell Stanley, the center for South Carolina. He adjusted and was able to meet A.J. Turner in the hole. Big stop for Missouri, get that ball back. Both of these teams, second tackle for loss now for Missouri. Negative yardage plays piling up.
Charlton, his second punt, will bounce in front of Jonathan Johnson and take a Missouri bounce near the 37-yard line, 35-yarder.
Regulation size.
Go route. Footwear aisle. Height!
Will Muschamp in his 3rd season as the head coach of the Gamecocks. Phenomenal job getting to a bowl game in year 1. Won 9 games, beat Michigan in the Outback Bowl in year 2, but facing a little bit of pressure now from his faithful after the way they played last week against Kentucky. Takes it as always in stride. Larry Roundtree breaks a few tackles past the 45-yard line.
Well, there was expectations. You know, he built those a season ago, fueled largely by a turnover margin that was vastly in South Carolina's favor. Regardless, coming into the season, thought to be a contending team in the SEC East. Ran into one of the best teams in the country in week 2 versus Georgia. Missed out on coming back from that game because their Marshall game was canceled, and have been trying to climb back into a consistent level of performance ever since.
This is the big tight end, Kendall Blanton. Missouri has 2 guys that look like they should play at the next level. First down, Mizzou in Gamecocks territory, 18 yards.
We talked about Albert Okuwebanam earlier. Kendall Blanton looks even prettier on the hoof. If you could build a tight end, it looks like number 11. Physical finish to that catch.
Roundtree Shuffles his feet and is inside the 35. When we were on the field before the game stance, you said, Taylor, turn around. Just take a look at Kendall Blant. 6'6", 265 pounds. Runs like a deer.
Probably. And hits like a truck, and probably catches like Larry Fitzgerald. What other analogies we could throw at him? That's a big physical presence. They spend a lot of time with 2 tight ends in their personnel groups.
Howard Beatty has a hole inside the 30 and is tackled inside the 10-yard line as Steven Montag prevented the touchdown. The freshman goes for 25 yards.
They had a corner shoot from the boundary, so they're coming from that. Edges there, and you got pulling linemen out in front of Beatty, a true freshman who has really asserted himself in the Missouri's ground game, an upsurgent one at that.
He's still on the field next to Locke. Fake to him, end zone, incomplete, flag comes in. It's Cam Scott, Rashad Fenton working with him.
Rashad Fenton, the only defender with any interceptions, 3 of them coming into this game. One of the better cover corners.
Pass interference on the defense, number 16. The foul occurred in the end zone. The ball will be placed on the 2-yard line. First down.
You see Cam Scott, it's going to be physical. It always is, but you see that, he's got both arms wrapped around Cam Scott. You're playing the receiver, not jockeying even position that time. It was as if Fenton was trying to get him on the ground. Easy call for the official, and a 1st and goal from the 2-yard line from a unit that's been able to run the football pretty effectively so far in this game. The big
rushing yards so far, Stinch. Roundtree gets the toss, and he eludes the first tackle and finds his way in. Keir Thomas had him in the backfield.
See there, Keir Thomas, as you pointed out, great penetration right at the point, makes Roundtree cut back. But you see South Carolina had over pursuit. That can happen where there's cutback lanes created. You see Jermias Williams all the way over the top. Roundtree showing some pretty good vision to cut back and get into the end zone. We're going to take another look at this one to make sure the plane was broken before he was down.
Hard to see at first glance if there's enough evidence there. Roundtree with already a touchdown in this game, as Barry Odom's teams have scored touchdowns in the red zone 2/3 of the time.
See it. The ball was in his left arm as he was going down. The difficulty from that angle anyway is to tell whether or not he was down before this ball had a chance to cross the plane. Hard to see from this angle as well. Talk about the mash unit. Everybody's playing hurt. You see that cast.
After further review, the runner was down at the half-yard line. It will be 2nd and goal at the half-yard line.
Say there's the ball. I'm going to say that ball had not crossed the front edge of the planes. You see the ball right there before Roundtree kind of rolled over on his backside. Regardless, 3 more cracks at the end zone for the Missouri offense.
Derek Dooley, the new offensive coordinator, says you got to be able to grind it out in the SEC. Demarie Crockett delayed the inevitable. Touchdown, Mizzou.
You don't see a lot of teams. You don't see Drew Lock spend a lot of time under center before Derek Dooley got to town. Power I formation down there on the goal line. It's a walk-in touchdown.
Mizzou running the football effectively so far with 52 rushing yards. here in just a couple of drives. This is the third so far. And Tucker McCann's extra point is good. Grinding it out here on this drive, culminating with a Crockett touchdown. Mizzou is back on top.
Captain, waiting your orders.
Admiral Durov is staging a coup. He's holding the Russian president hostage. We've been ordered to rescue him.
It's the most aggressive military buildup in Russian history.
There aren't too many training simulations for this one.
Go, go, go! Torpedoes in the water!
You are authorized to protect your crew.
They're gonna start a war today! Wait for impact!
Hunter Killer, rated R, in theaters October 26th.
You wore number 7. He wore number 7. He even used digital check-in to pick room 107. And somehow they still lost. Guess by how many? For the best price guaranteed, book at Hampton.com. Hampton by Hilton.
Downfield for Jalen Hurts. Try anything right now if you're the Crimson Tide. It'll work.
No, well, they need to start. They really need to get creative at Alabama if they're going to have success during the rest of the season.
Mizzou got too creative earlier trying an onside kick, and this is what Barry Odom called for today. Pooch kicks in front of Debo, and that worked perfectly, forcing him to come up and field it off the ground near the 15-yard line. So the Gamecocks will start at the 20.
Yeah, we knew that Debo Samuel was not going to get a whole lot of cracks, certainly not on any deep kicks in this game. He's already hurt Missouri, took that slant almost to the house after the onside kick attempt. Barry Odom wasn't going to make the same mistakes that he's made in the past, getting number 1 too many touches in special teams.
He is still beside himself that the team kicked it to Debo Samuel last year, which resulted in a 97-yard kick return for a touchdown, and he has pleaded with Tucker McCann not to do that again this time around. Tyson Williams, who's been banged up the last couple of weeks, gets wrestled to the ground by Terry Beckner.
Just upfield right away, and they're slanting the defensive front, being very active so far. You see Terry Beckner. You should never see a defensive lineman in a tight shot of your back as he's taking the handoffs. Never ideal. Terry Beckner in the offensive backfield right now. Yet another tackle for loss for the Tigers.
That's 3 here in the first quarter. Scarnecchia had time and now escapes and dives back to the original line of scrimmage where Walter Palmore is there. 3rd and 10, Chris.
Well, Terry Beckner has lost almost 20 pounds. He gave up soda and he gave up fast food. I asked Terez Hall what he's seen from him, and he said, oh yeah, I look back at old film and he was chubby. He kind of had a muffin top back then. You can only say that about your teammates.
Looked like the pastry counter at Starbucks or something, huh? Looking up there at the defensive front. Now he's zeroed up on a nose tackle. He's got pretty nice pass rush straights as well.
Here come the Tigers. Scarnecchia takes a big hit. The ball's deflected as a flag comes in. 4th down.
That time Missouri overloaded from guard to guard. They basically had 3 defenders rushing the middle of the offensive protection scheme. And they were able to get home to Scarnecchia right as he was trying to get rid of the football.
Okay. Personal foul, chop block on the offense. That penalty is declined. 4th down.
As you see there, Cale Garrett coming through the line, untouched. He's got a free shot on Scarnecchia. Lucky to get that ball off. See Beckner Jr. able to bat the ball up in the air. And that was a familiar sight for Gamecock fans who saw Jake Bentley get battered around last week versus Kentucky.
Charlton with his 3rd punt. And Johnson puts up a hand late. Fair catch at the 33-yard line for 42 yards. Coming up at 4 Eastern, it's week 6 of the college football season, continuing with Louisiana Monroe at Ole Miss. Then number 2, Georgia hosts Vanderbilt. Between the Hedges at 7:30 in our SEC Saturday night matchup presented by Holiday Inn Express. Both games also streaming live on the ESPN app. Since you were there 2 years ago when the Doors with Derek Mason shocked Kirby Smart in Athens. These programs have gone in different directions since then.
Yeah, you could see that. I think that might have been the launching point for Georgia, an inflection point for sure for the trajectory of the program.
Crockett straight ahead for a handful. J.C. Horn on the tackle. Beatty, Crockett, Roundtree. Seen all three of them with multiple carries so far in the game. And here comes Beatty back in on a 2nd and 5.
You see mass substitutions for the Missouri offense, able to rotate deeply, keep fresh legs on the field.
It's a little swing pass to Beatty out of the backfield, and he's ahead to the 45-yard line for a first down. So it's play-by-play here, Stinch, with a new tailback.
You see rotating in, Beatty, it looks like he'll take another consecutive, allow Missouri to stay fast and in tempo.
Gets ahead to the 49, tackled by Daniel Fennell.
And the challenge, of course, is that you're facing a South Carolina defense that was undermanned coming into the season. They're barely able to get their cleats in the ground before the ball's getting snapped.
Fake to Beatty. Locke stands tall, rifles one down there, and it's incomplete, but here's another flag. Stephen Montag on Dominic Jacinto.
There's no doubt that Montag's there early. And Jacinto is underneath the coverage. Again, we saw this on a double move on the first
Pass
possession.
Interference on the defense, number 22. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
You see Montag coming over in coverage. He's clearly early. The right hand was on, the left hand comes across. And another true freshman, and you can see Missouri not scared to take some of these deep shots. The run game established, it gets established early in these series, allows you to take some shots downfield. Play action means something when you get that ground game going. And so far, the Tigers have been able to do that.
Crockett, look at those holes that Missouri offensive line is creating. I mean, it's 5 yards before he's touched. The center of that time, Kristen Colon Castillo, pushing those Gamecocks back.
Just riding the wave, and that's just a zone to the right. You get the push, you're able to stay at the point of attack, then put your foot in the ground and get downfield.
9 yards on first down and running free on a 2nd and 1 near the 10.
South Carolina knew they needed to get better play at linebacker. Right now they're losing up front. You see number 42, Rosendo Lewis, a true freshman, and he's peeking inside. Gap integrity's broken. Big run on the ground.
And it's Crockett near the 5-yard line. So it's 6, it's 7, it's 9 yards on first down.
When you leave your personnel in there, you're playing tempo. You knew that South Carolina last week played a lot of snaps. Sherrod Green, TJ Brunson, and linebacker played the entire game. No rotation, no ability to get any fresh legs in there. Now Missouri subs. South Carolina able to get some new defenders in there, including Bryson Allen Williams, but they're knocking on the door in the red zone.
Mizzou has 3 tight ends on a 2nd and 3, and Crockett is hit after maybe a yard. It'll be 3rd down. That's Shamik Blackshear got in there.
If you're South Carolina, you're just looking to keep them out of the end zone. You hold it to a field goal at this point after this type of a drive, that is a huge victory. As it looks like Colon Castillo, the center for Missouri, shaken up on the field.
It's a heck of a game so far here in the first quarter. The redshirt sophomore from Webb City, Missouri. Mizzou returning all 5 starters on their offensive line, only allowing 16 negative plays so far this season. It gives us a chance to go back to the studio. Dari Noka with an update. You know good and well, Dari is got some attention on what's happening in Dallas, Texas right now between the Sooners and the Longhorns.
Oh, gotcha, yeah, that game. The tongue twister, I refuse to reference that game. As you see, Jonah Dubinsky shooting a few snaps back there to Drew Lock. Keep in mind now, so this is 3rd and short, and Drew Lock spending more time under center than he typically has, and now a new center in the game. We saw earlier Missouri under center at quarterback. They got an I formation. Jonah Dubinsky, it's just an additional consideration, one that the typical starter at center is not going to be available for these snaps.
Drew Lock's going to walk all the way down to the other 4-yard line as the first quarter ends. Missouri running the football at will. Already 175 total yards. They lead the Gamecocks 14-7.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
Halloween, rated R.
Nerf rival. Competing teams blue and red. Now Phantom Corps joins the battle with the new Hades and 60-round capacity. Blasting with accurate, high-impact rival rounds. A new era of rival has begun. New Nerf Rival Hades. Experience the intensity.
Missouri starts the second quarter at the Gamecocks 4-yard line. Derek Dooley was the wide receivers coach for 5 years for the Dallas Cowboys. Comes back to college football in the SEC. Of course, he was the former head coach of the Volunteers. He's called a heck of a game so far for Drew Lock, his tailbacks, and for those wide receivers that are without Emmanuel Hall today. 175 yards in that first quarter. Now Lock will throw. End zone dropped. That was Jonathan Johnson he was looking for. And the Gamecocks getting off the field, forcing a chip shot field goal as a win.
So you roll them out, cut the field in half. You got high-low options and an opportunity to come up with it. Hit Jonathan Johnson in the hands, typically sure-handed. This time, as I mentioned, that's a win for South Carolina defensively. They were hemorrhaging yards. Could they come up with the stop? They were able to do that. The quarter change may have allowed that defense to catch their breath a bit.
Tucker McCann is up and good from 22 yards. And it's 17-7 Missouri Tigers. Will Muschamp's team needs to get rolling on offense.
Play She's a Rainbow.
The all-new Acura RDX with ELS Studio 3D sound. It's everything we ever imagined, and then some.
Opportunity is everywhere. Like here and here. See? Opportunity. Everywhere. About to be parents. Meeting the parents. And this driver logging out to watch his kid hit one out of the... Opportunity is everywhere. All you have to do to find it is get out. Here.
If you take out the onside kick, you look at South Carolina and the story in this game so far, their own starting field position, they're getting the football on the 18-yard line. Even worse than what we saw last week versus Kentucky. You look at Missouri, they're getting it on their own 34. That is a huge swing when you talk about hidden yardage in a football game.
And once again, Tucker McCann set to kick off with Deebo Samuel back there deep. This is a bit shorter. It's fielded at the 14. This is Keyshawn Nixon as they kick it away from Deebo, and he has passed the 30-yard line. You can stream college football all season long on ESPN+, so start your free trial today by downloading the ESPN app or visiting ESPNplus.com. We've lived on that app all season, scrolling through a bunch of scores, and certain to do that a little later today with this full SEC slate. Florida LSU game figures to be a great one. It always is.
See how good that Florida defense is. Are they starting to round the corner?
Son Williams ahead past the 35-yard line. He missed the Kentucky game last week with an ankle injury, as Rico Dowdle, A.J. Turner, and Tyson have all shared the responsibility so far in the backfield. Not much doing there as Brandon Lee and Jordan Elliott come in. Third down.
Right now, South Carolina having a really difficult time on some of their combination blocks up front. They're getting up to the second level too early. That time, Zach Bailey, Donnell Stanley coming off too early on Jordan Elliott, who is very active in the middle of that Missouri defensive front.
Gamecocks 0 for 3 on third down already, 3rd and 5. Scarnecchia with a flag down. Deebo makes some kind of crazy catch, and inside the 30-yard line, he's tackled near the 26. If it stands, it's 37 yards.
Offside on the defense, number 5. Penalty is declined. Result of the play, first down.
So they got Beckner Jr. to jump a little bit up front. They showed pressure and bailed. And you give your playmaker a chance to make a play on the outside, and Deebo Samuel delivers. Will Muschamp told him, look, we got to throw and catch to win games. He came back later in the week and reminded everybody, including Deebo Samuel, you've made a lot of plays here. We expect you to make a lot more. He's made 2 big ones so far in this game.
Tyson Williams inside the 20 as he is tripped up, but a nice positive play for 9 yards on first down. Nate Anderson, the one that was what forced him to the ground. Williams, the junior from Sumter, South Carolina, started his career at North Carolina.
You know, one of the things too, Taylor, short football field. This defense hasn't been on the field very long. The first real sustained drive for South Carolina.
Scarnecchia, middle of the field is open to the goal line. Touchdown! Brian Edwards again for 17 yards.
See Edwards. He's so physical after the catch. The extension, that looks like 6. Both of his knees would have been on top of the defender. Watch how he extends before he would establish himself down. That is a touchdown. 2 of them now for Brian Edwards, and both of them, the precursor was a big play for Deebo Samuel. We talk about the best players on this team needing to elevate their play. They didn't play well last week versus Kentucky. You're without your usual starter at quarterback. So far, Deebo Samuel, Brian Edwards, Michael Scarnecchia doing a good job of elevating their level of play and getting the Gamecocks into the end zone.
And Scarnecchia off to a heck of a start. 6 of 7, over 100 yards passing, and 2 touchdowns, both to Brian Edwards. Parker White and his extra point is good. Exactly what the Gamecocks needed. They get good field position. Deebo Samuel with a big catch to put him in Mizzou territory, and Brian Edwards pays it off.
Morning. Welcome to Mitsubishi. Interested in a test drive?
Yeah, sure. Can you check out the stereo?
Introducing the 2019 Mitsubishi Eclipse Cross. If you like sculpted lines, you'll love its dynamic design. In a world of asphalt, gravel, and snow, Super All-Wheel Control will save the day. With a 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty, the Eclipse Cross is a must-see, now showing at a dealership near you.
What? Get up to $3,000 cash back or 0% APR on select Mitsubishi crossovers.
Drive your ambition. Mitsubishi Motors.
Good gracious, Darty, a lot of chaos going on there in Fayetteville with the Tide trying to get that first down in their own territory, and then that Razorbacks fumble. Keep an eye on that one as Mizzou will start at the 25-yard line. Great start for Michael Scarnecchia today in his first career start. 6 of 7 as you see him sitting next to Jake Bentley there. Bentley unable to protect himself today, Coach Muschamp said, with that knee injury he sustained in the Kentucky loss last week, but he's been supporting his career backup so far.
You know, they talked about it. We talked with Brian Edwards before the game, and he mentioned when it became apparent that Jake probably wasn't going to play, that's where you see the leadership really grow a little bit. How real is it? Are you just a leader when you're in the lineup? Are you a leader because you're on the team? Jake Bentley definitely supportive of Michael Scarnecchia today.
Out of the backfield, Beatty. And Bryson Allen Williams tackles him at the 29-yard line. New center in there, Chris.
Yeah, their starter, Tristan Colon Castillo, is still on the sidelines. They wrapped up his right ankle. They told me he is good to go, and he should go back in the game later.
See Jonah Dubinsky in there now. They were in the shotgun on a 3rd and 2 right after Castillo came out.
Now it's Locke sliding ahead as he faked to Beatty. Keeps it himself for a first down.
And he always gets these clean looks on the zone pulls. When you can pull it out of the back of the running back's basket, and it's almost as if defenses forget what a great athlete Drew Lock is. That's easy access to the line of scrimmage and an easy conversion.
Take to Beatty. Sideline, skips it in front of his intended target, Jalen Knox. Mizzou's already over 100 yards rushing in this game early in the second quarter. As a flag comes in here. They had 172 yards rushing against Georgia, and 4 different guys found the end zone, including Mr. Locke.
There's no doubt that there's been a recommitment to that element of the offense.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 13 on the offense. Unsportsmanlike conduct, number 16 on the defense. Those penalties offset. Second down. That is the first unsportsmanlike conduct foul for both players.
You know, the throw was to the bottom of our screen, but meanwhile, Rashad Fenton, and this is after some of what was going on, Fenton getting all in Cam Scott's ear. What we didn't see there is they were tangled up, pushing and shoving at the end of the play. Both ended up on the ground. The officials trying to rein in that extracurricular activity.
2nd and 10. Lock to Johnson, and Johnson gets up just past the 40-yard line. Those personal foul penalties have been a problem so far for Will Muschamp. J.C. Horn committed one last week. And he said, look, we've got to eliminate these stupid penalties so far this season, but I love to have a team full of guys that you have to say whoa to instead of giddy up.
Yeah, he wants guys to be downhill. He wants them to be aggressive. You rather want to rein them in than try to kick them to get motivated. The substitute got Kendall Blanton off of the field. They substitute another receiver, 3 wides to the top of your screen with no safety over top.
Johnson coming in motion, and now flag.
False start. 81, offense. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
You know what that tells you? That Albert Okuwebanam is probably the primary receiver. That they were probably going to go to him right there. You're looking at a 3rd, 3+. He's trying to get out. He wants to get out of his stance and into his route. Number 81, a big body and a 3rd down threat, and instead pushes his offense back and gives South Carolina an opportunity to bring pressure.
Middle of the field and incomplete, thrown behind Alberto. Keyshawn Nixon right there.
This is what South Carolina does so well. They will twist and stunt up front. Here comes Bryson Allen Williams again. Drew Lock is throwing it under duress. He knows the heat is coming. The ball is underthrown. That was 2 underthrows late in that possession by Drew Lock. Uncharacteristic, and a big stop on the heels of the touchdown for the Carolina defense.
Tony's punt off the side of his foot, and it's out of bounds at the 22-yard line. That is a 39-yard punt. Gamecocks get it back.
Our new hot, fresh breakfast will get you the readiest. Holiday Inn Express. Be the readiest.
All right, so the Tide up 3 touchdowns. Dari Mizzou up 3 points here in this one. And the Gamecocks back on the field. Michael Scarnecchia off to a hot start. He only completed 1 pass, only attempted 1 back in 2015 before he's played now in 3 games this season. This is first career start. Quick throw, and it's underneath to Shi Smith. And Smith is picked up off the ground and bulldozed down. 2nd down. Here comes a flag in on Terez Hall. Hall at least was the one that picked him up and threw him down. We'll see if he's the guilty party.
He was among others. As you could see, Missouri converging on the tackle.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 47 on the defense. The penalty is 15 from the end run, automatic 1st down.
I'm sure this play will be openly mocked this week, but it makes sense. He's up, he's off the ground, and they don't want you to put it on him as you're going down. Play's over. You could see a gift of 15 yards. We've seen excellent field position, and now with the personal foul to give South Carolina a head start.
Double effort by those linebackers. Tyson Williams breaks a tackle into Missouri territory.
They missed Tyson Williams a week ago. Banged up. He came down strong last year when Rico Dowdle went down and did a great job on that run, bouncing it outside, pulling the defenders to him, and then showing speed.
20 yards, and they go right back to him up the gut for a couple. A.J. Turner, we have seen carry the ball so far. Looks like he might have gotten a bit banged up on his drive. Rico Dowdle, by far the leading ball carrier with 55 carries on the season coming into this one, and Williams will go out, and Rico will come back in on this 2nd and 7. Dowdle makes one man miss, but cannot get past that Terez Hall shoestring tackle, Chris.
Taylor, A.J. Turner was a guy that Will Muschamp wanted to get in the rotation more this week, but he is on the bench without his helmet. He was talking to the athletic training staff but he tried to get his helmet back, but they would not let him. As soon as I know more, I'll let you know.
Meanwhile, Dowdle and Tyson Williams carrying the mail for the Gamecocks, and now 3rd and 10. Scarnecchia with a flag down will take a shot, and it's incomplete.
Last week, it was South Carolina jumping on offense. Looks like twice now they will have drawn the defense off sides.
Offside on the defense, number 29. 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, 3rd down.
You remember earlier the shot downfield, and again, he's got Terry Beckner Jr. in the neutral zone, among others. Scarnecchia using the hard count very well so far in this game, able to get free plays and a free set of 5 yards.
Certainly the least penalized team in the SEC coming into this game. 4 penalties today in this first half. Now 3rd and 5, Scarnecchia throws into traffic. That was a dangerous pass, and Christian Holmes says no, sir.
Christian Holmes had an interception earlier this season versus Georgia. Should have come up with the pick here. He jumps this route. Sees Debo, and watch him get underneath this pass. He ends up tripping on Samuel.
And the Gamecocks will go for it, at least initially will show that they will. They're 5 of 9 on 4th down. Maybe Scarnecchia just trying a hard count here. He does snap it. Looking around, throws into traffic, incomplete. Therese Hall got an arm on it, and Missouri will get it back.
Missouri able to get home. Scarnecchia had Debo Samuel over the middle. The pressure got there just in time to keep South Carolina from finding their option downfield and getting the big conversion. As it is, Missouri with a big stop and good field position.
One cup of lemonade. Time to pack up, kids.
NFL Sunday Ticket. Get every live game every Sunday at no extra charge when you switch to DirecTV. More for your thing. That's our thing.
Okay, Kevin, USAA Bank is here to help you stay on track. Budget's looking good. Fit for a fill-up? And green light some beef jerky, too. Thanks, Chief.
USAA Bank helps you stay a step ahead. Find help at every turn. Yeah! With USAA Bank.
Drew Lock, outstanding 4-year starter for the Missouri Tigers, but his numbers against Power 5 competition need to show some improvement. That's the charge this year for his new offensive coordinator, Derek Dooley.
You know, you look at when they have faced others. You look at his Georgia game, sub 50% completion, threw a pick, no touchdowns. They're looking for more out of Drew Lock, even more out of Drew Lock when they get versus the Power 5 competition. That's this conference, and it gets stiffer with each week.
His primary center, Tristan Colon-Castillo, is back in the game, and Larry Roundtree follows him for a couple of yards.
You could see South Carolina, it's almost as if defensively it shifted a little bit. When they forced the field goal attempt from about the 2-yard line, they were able to get the ball back to their offense, and now on 1st down, doing a good job corralling the ground game.
Fake to Roundtree, and out of the backfield, or out off the line rather, Albert O with the catch for 2 more. It's 3rd and long.
And as we've seen in this game, South Carolina very active with their front players, lots of twists. They've been able to get to Drew Lock. Offensive coordinator Derek Dooley knew that this is something that South Carolina was definitely going to have to try to do, affect the passer. Drew Lock too talented to have a clean pocket to throw from.
Lock doesn't have anything open. Finally down the field he finds Jonathan Johnson streaking for a 1st down, and then here comes a flag on the Gamecocks.
South Carolina only brought 4 that time and played coverage, but Drew Lock did such a good job buying time, keeping his eyes downfield, and able to find Jonathan Johnson.
After the play was over, personal foul, late hit, number 9 on the defense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run. 1st down.
You see South Carolina, they end up playing coverage. They drop 7 deep. Jonathan Johnson, he's just going to settle into the soft spot and zone. Drew Lock was able to scramble to his throwing arm side. Johnson, nice hands catch after the drop earlier on the goal line to force a field goal. And then Keyshawn Nixon, again, senselessly, he's already out of bounds. Don't make an easy call for the ref.
Beatty gets a big block and stays in bounds inside the 10-yard line. As another flag comes in.
They're going to get a hold, and a pretty easy one out there in space.
Holding, number 59 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, first down.
It's Case Cook, the right guard.
Missouri pulls quite a bit. They're very active up front. Case Cook in there, Kevin Pendleton usually manning that spot, and you just end up, especially on the edge, when you're pulling linemen out there in the open, there's not as much traffic. It's easier to see. Case Cook, looks like he's digging out some turf with that helmet that cost his offense 10 yards right as they were entering the red zone.
Lock to Beatty, wide open out of the backfield, and he's inside the 15.
It was an issue last week versus Kentucky. Tracking backs out of the backfield, tight ends releasing from the line of scrimmage when they're attached. That time Beatty all alone on the numbers and able to recapture the yardage given up from the holding penalty.
For that 13-yard completion, it's now 2nd and 7 for Mizzou. From the Carolina 14. Another underneath throw that's batted down, looking for Kendall Blanton, but Montag steps in front.
That time well-timed in a pass defense by Stephen Montag. Didn't get there too early, and he needed to get underneath that throw. You're talking about Kendall Blanton at 6'6". He's basically boxing you out for a rebound. You better get a hand in front. Another big opportunity for South Carolina to get a stop. Missouri was only undone last time with the drop right on the goal line on a rollout by Drew Lock, and Jonathan Johnson incapable of bringing it in.
Crowd roaring at Drew Lock on this 3rd and 7. Off his back foot, in zone, and batted down. That is Jamias Williams that came over there to force the incompletion, 4th down.
There's no question where Drew Lock is going to trust to go with the football when they're getting in scoring opportunity. Twice now on 3rd downs, trying to find Jonathan Johnson. Twice now the South Carolina defense able to stiffen in the red zone and turn the Missouri offense away. One that has been really good in that area of the field this season.
We weren't sure if Jam Williams could go today as a sore shoulder, but look good there as McCann attempts the 32-yarder, and it is straight through. New score, Missouri 20, South Carolina 14. Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern, Thinking Out Loud is back with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. They'll talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. Big weekend in the SEC. We mentioned that LSU-Florida game this afternoon. And tonight, I'm ready to settle in and watch Kentucky and Texas A&M. Wildcats in the top 15 in the country, 5-0, going to College Station.
Isn't that wild that coming into the season, did anybody think, hey, one of the games that I definitely want to get, I want to be able to sit down and watch Kentucky versus A&M? I mean, Kentucky, the surprise of the conference has to be so far this year, and A&M has been far more competitive than anybody would have given them credit for coming into the year.
And how about Auburn and Mississippi State really struggling to find an offensive identity at the moment? Mississippi State's lost 2 in a row. This one is bobbled by Debo, picked up at the 9-yard line. They ultimately did kick it to him, and he's out of bounds near the 40. Back to the studio in Darinoka. In pistol set, Dari, you see Tyson Williams hurdling a defender, Adam Sparks. Williams has looked good, showing no ill effects from that ankle injury he sustained a couple of weeks ago.
You know, we talk about these teams that can run the football by committee. One of the advantages of that is that if a guy's a little bit nicked up, he doesn't have to be forced into the lineup. Tyson Williams looking more than healthy so far in this game.
Tyson is hit hard at the line of scrimmage there as Brandon Lee, the linebacker, comes in. It'll be third down. Williams averaging before that play 5.5 yards per carry. Rest of the team just barely in positive yardage at 0.2.
Well, it's really been the last couple of possessions where South Carolina has done a better job establishing that ground attack. They started early wanting to do it. Rico Dowdle, A.J. Turner not really very effective. Now starting able to capture the edges.
Skarnecki up middle of the field, juggled by Edwards and incomplete. It's thrown out a little in front of him and he couldn't corral it.
Pressure again, right up the middle. And you see there, Tyree Gillespie, Skarnecki knows he's going to get hit. He throws a ball that should be caught. Well, Brian Edwards talked about it last week and what was thought to be about 6 drops in the game. Key drops, key moments. There's a third down conversion potentially. Last week it was Deebo Samuel on an early third down. We've seen 2 touchdown catches out of number 89. That's one that he would want back. One of the better players on the field, and a key stop for Missouri now to get the ball back quickly for its offense.
Credit to Christian Holmes for getting a hand in there as Charlton punts a moon ball that's fielded by Jonathan Johnson at the 15-yard line. It's a 39-yard punt. So as we said, Derek Dooley deciding to come back to college football this year. 3 years at Louisiana Tech, then went to Rocky Top. A lot of disappointment in those 3 seasons as the head coach in Knoxville. Went to the NFL, coached Des Bryant and the Dallas Cowboy wide receivers for 5 seasons, but told us yesterday he was itching to get back to college football and have a chance to be in charge of Drew Lock in this Missouri Tigers offense.
And I know I felt like I needed to apologize to Derek Dooley because he's like, it's not like I came back in here to run some prehistoric offense. I was happy to open it up. We did it when I was the coach at Tennessee, and they have.
Marie Crockett gets a yard or 2. In fact, Stinch, he said, I'm going to use the same plays that this team was using last year. I do want to establish the ground game, which clearly his team is doing today. Over 100 yards rushing here in the first half. But he is using the same plays that Josh Heupel and Barry Odom ran last season as Crockett gets to the 20-yard line. It'll be third down.
Well, the difference so far, as we've seen the Missouri offense that came out early possessions, moving the football well, is the first and second down defense by South Carolina. This is the 3rd straight possession now where the South Carolina front has done a good job on either early throws, early runs of negating big positive yards before they're getting 3 and 4 yards at a time to force these third and passing down situations.
Lock, first down throw to the 26-yard line, Jalen Knox. And with that throw, Drew Lock passes Eli Manning for 8th all-time in the SEC.
This time, moving the pocket. Before, get the ball out quickly from your quarterback, but we've seen South Carolina repeatedly finding ways to get to Drew Lock on these third downs. That time, moved the pocket to his throwing arm side, didn't have to flush. It gets the ball out of his hands quickly. You can see some of that young freshman talent that Missouri's so high on at wide receiver.
Crockett finds another hole in that Gamecock secondary, and he gets to the 35-yard line for 9 more. So you see Locke passing Eli, and he now has his sights set on the hefty lefty. Who's up next?
It's not going to take long either for him to overtake Jared Lorenzen as he climbs up that chart.
2nd and 1. He slings this one out. That's complete to Cam Scott, the true freshman. First down. He was 3rd or 4th option in that play.
A great ball fake. Everybody was expecting Demarie Crockett to have ended up with that football, and instead, really nowhere to go with the ball initially, but there wasn't much pressure either.
This looks like what you saw a lot of last year, but it doesn't work. Albert O makes the catch. That was the thing with Locke that you saw the first 3 years, Stinch, is a quick fake to the backfield, quick throw to your first option, go down the field as fast as possible. If it works incredibly well. But if it doesn't, they're off the field in 15 seconds.
It kind of felt like you were either bunting or swinging for the fences. That was kind of the passing game. Not entirely. This year it's been way more balanced when you look at how intentional this offense has been with its ground game. It hasn't just been incidental to a passing game. They came into with the mindset you have to run the football even if there isn't a numbers advantage.
Locke, underneath safe throw that's caught by Cam Scott, and Scott is out of bounds into Gamecock territory at the 45-yard line.
And you can't say enough, I think, about Drew Locke's athleticism. There's a lot more on his plate. He's dealing with more of the decision-making offensively, but throws so well off platform and out of the pocket.
Run straight ahead for Crockett, and he's down to the 36 for 9 yards.
That time, South Carolina just late triggering that linebacker. You got to get downhill. True freshman Rosendo Lewis again. The game's moving really fast. He's got to get downhill, attack that line of scrimmage, and again, Demarie Crockett able to squeak through when there's an open gap in the defensive front. Lucky for South Carolina defensively that Crockett got tangled up and went down.
Coming up at halftime, you can watch the live performance of the official marching band for South Carolina, the Carolina Band on SEC Network Plus. Start streaming now on the ESPN Plus app. Hot day here in Columbia as the temperatures have not broken into fall weather just yet.
Not even close. I mean, here we are. We'll sweat our way through the first half.
And you've always been concerned about the fabric and the fashion statement that bands across America are making, particularly in 90-degree heat.
I think, you know, maybe some of the heat dissipates through the plumage up top, but regardless, you know, it looks like a lot of surface area is covered there with those uniforms. It's hot out here. Cut them some slack.
What is the language of origin for plumage?
I don't know. Maybe the sousaphone does the same thing. It's like a heat exchange thing.
Tyler Beatty is in the backfield now, as we've seen a lot of Crockett, Roundtree, and Beatty, all of them with multiple carries today. And Tyler, with plenty of space, dives ahead to the 27-yard line, just short of another first down. TJ Brunson on the tackle, but Stench, as you've documented, first down has been a big win for Mizzou in this first half as they'll go quickly. Beatty, first down run as Javon Charleston couldn't wrap him up initially.
And that was an example of you've got to run when you don't have a numbers advantage. 5 available blockers, 6 defenders in the box, and they had as spread a set as you could find. 4 wide receivers stacked outside the numbers. You have to defend those guys, but you also have to tackle in the box, and Beatty showing how physical he could be.
Locke steps up, middle of the field, and it's open, and it's a first down inside the 5-yard line. That's a big catch made inside the 5.
And they snuck an eligible receiver there in, lined up, looked like an offensive tackle initially, and was wide open down the field.
Samson Bailey switching numbers from 56 to 91, becoming a tackle eligible on that play. When he is not a tackle eligible, he's wearing 56. So he makes the big uniform change, and he makes the biggest catch of his collegiate career.
So here he is, lined up what looks like at left tackle. And at first you think, Albert O looks awful slow on that release. And that's just because it's Sam Bailey. Stephen Montag coming over from safety as everybody's high-fiving Sam Bailey, a offensive lineman's dream come true to be able to run a play like that. But you sneak him in there at left tackle, unaccounted for, and he just releases right down the hash. As you see Drew Lock in his passing chart, a lot of those throws obviously working over there to the right-hand side. He's 3 for 3. He's had to scramble a time or two, but he's been able to find targets downfield and get conversions and extend drives.
So a 1st and goal for Mizzou. 2 timeouts left inside the 5. Locke fakes the handoff, and he'll just throw this away. Live to see another down.
And now the challenge, obviously, with South Carolina in a goal-to-go scenario. Can they once again find a way to deny the end zone? They've been able to do it the last 2 trips. When Missouri's able to get down here, will they be able to do it once again? We've seen twice where Drew Lock moved the pocket. They seek Jonathan Johnson, and both times coming up empty with the Gamecock defense able to defend the pass.
Beatty whistled down at the 4-yard line. Javon Kinlaw credited with that tackle.
Just about to bring up big Javon Kinlaw. He's the SEC Defensive Lineman of the Week. A couple of weeks ago versus Vanderbilt. Needs to assert himself on this defense. We talk about Bryson Allen Williams, a playmaker as a pass rusher. Number 3 up front for South Carolina is a guy that needs to play big in games, this one included. Was able to get that stop with upfield penetration.
So South Carolina has forced a couple of field goals in the red zone on the last couple of drives. Tucker McCann with a couple of chip shots from 22 and 32, and that's the idea here on a big 3rd down.
Well, earlier at the quarter change, they're about a similar situation on about the 3-yard line, and Missouri moved the pocket, split the field, and they look for Jonathan Johnson on a speed out.
That last play, we were waiting for the whistle, and that's why there was one, as you see the right knee of Beatty down. So it is a 3rd and goal with Crockett standing next to Drew Lock and 3 receivers to the bottom of the screen. Lock, incomplete. J.C. Horn breaking up the pass intended for Jalen Knox.
That time they went to the trips. They had Jonathan Johnson break out, a chance to rub the defender, and able to break free. That time, though, well defended. J.C. Horn, and we talked about him earlier. He's a gamer. He's a guy that plays with an edge. He's the one that Coach Muschamp was talking about. You want to have to rein your players in as a true freshman, coming up big to force yet another field goal attempt in the red zone for Missouri.
So again from 22 yards. And McCann is now 8 for 8 on the season inside 40. Thursday at 9 Eastern, it's Marty and McGee. They have you covered with everything that's SEC. Like everything else, you can see them live on the ESPN app from anywhere, fueled by Gatorade. Well, the good news for the Gamecocks has been their ability to get off the field on defense in the red zone. The problem is they're letting Missouri get into that position now 5 times today.
Yeah, it's from 20 to 20. It's you got to get stops in the field, get the ball back to your offense without giving up yet more points. Now a 2-possession ball game with a 9-point differential. You have to find ways to keep those points off the board, albeit when you get down there, you're on the 2 and 3 yard line. That's prime scoring position. There's got to be a level of frustration for Missouri as well. When you get it down there, you want to punch it in the end zone and come away with 6. Right now, South Carolina offensively hanging around, doing just enough to keep this game manageable.
And with a squib kick that still gets in the hands of one of the return men, Keyshawn Nixon, up to the 34-yard line. It's kind of a science right? Trying to kick the ball away from one player in particular. Debo still has gotten his hands on one kick return.
He's found his way to get up there, and you know we need to check the heart rate of Barry Odom every time Tucker McCann puts his foot on the ball for these kickoffs. Because number one is a guy that can break your heart quickly. He's had 2 big catches in this game that set up both South Carolina scores. He's at your bottom of your screen now.
Shovel ahead to Dowdle. He's got no place to go in the backfield. It was Beckner first, and Chris Turner finished it up. And the Gamecocks will let the clock run out. Michael Scarnecchia played well in that half in his first start, but his Gamecock defense unable to get off the field enough in the first half. They trail 23-14, and Mizzou will get it first, receiving the second half. Barry Odom 12-0 when leading at the half as the head coach of the Missouri Tigers, winning 9 of his last 11 games. After an open week, his team comes out with 321 total yards in this first half on a hot day at Williams-Brice Stadium, and Chris is with him.
Coach, 3 straight possessions, they held you to a field goal. How do you take advantage of the good field position?
Well, we've done a great job driving down the field. We got to find a way to come up with 7 points in those situations. It's going to go down to the fourth quarter, be decided late, and we've got to find a way to execute there. We've had opportunities and this didn't come away with it. But we know we'll drive the ball. Let's go find a way to finish it off.
What went into the decision to pull out the onside kick early?
That was not, he mishit the ball. So I know it looked like an onside. We were trying to bloop it down to the right side. Mishit it, and obviously bad situation.
Thanks for clarification.
Thanks. Yep.
All right, so Barry Odom with a clarification there. Mizzou leads the Gamecocks 23-14. It's the SEC Halftime Report with Dari, Chiz, and Doring.
We talked about him at the top of the show. You know, Deebo Samuel, Brian Edwards, they've made their fingerprints on this football game so far. Rico Dowdle has yet to have that happen.
And it's Rico. He plows ahead to the 42. It'll be 3rd and 2 from there as Nate Anderson makes the tackle. Gamecocks offense looking for consistency on the ground all season so far with Dowdle, Turner, Tyson Williams, and Mon Denson. This would be a situation where Mon Denson would be used, but Denson has a hamstring issue and we have not seen him yet today.
Played a good bit last week versus Kentucky when they got into a rather unique offensive formation, the Will Henry formation, where they split the line of scrimmage.
Referee David Smith had a long conversation with Barry Odom, and now he's going to go talk to Will Muschamp as there's a timeout on the field. Evidently a headset issue. We'll get that addressed. We'll be back in just a moment.
I wish you weren't so worried about moving.
I'm hoping these nature sounds will help me relax a bit.
At least we don't have to worry about homeowners insurance. Just call Geico.
Good to know.
Get to know Geico for homeowners insurance.
Rain coming down in Columbia, and the HBC has sprung a leak there on the facade today. That was a quick rainstorm that came out of nowhere.
The previous timeout was taken because Missouri's headsets were not functioning properly. They are now working properly.
Very good. So if they continued to have an issue, of course, both teams would have to take them off, but it's been fixed. And now it's a 3rd and 2 for the Gamecocks. They're just 1 of 6 on 3rd down today. Comes the pressure, a bubble, and it's Rico, 1st down into Missouri territory.
Just a phenomenal call right there. You're able to leak Rico Dowdle out. You blew Deebo Samuel through the formation. He ends up on the right side. Oftentimes, Deebo Samuel's to the left side of the formation. Rico Dowdle shaken up after that catch. But a nice conversion for South Carolina.
Scarnecchia, too high for Samuel, incomplete. Deebo, one of the few skill players that South Carolina has that's not been banged up. Rico Dowdle, like you said on the last play, Brian Edwards has a touchdown, but clearly is not able to go full speed with an ankle injury. Jake Bentley not playing today after 24 consecutive starts with a knee injury. This is Tyson Williams, and he's inside the 45. So with all those health injuries, you had to have a solid performance from the quarterback, Michael Scarnecchia, and that's what the Gamecocks have gotten so far. Thrown for 117 yards and 2 touchdowns.
And the rain has really picked up in this one, as you see Missouri with late substitutions, and they're going to get an opportunity to do so. So you see Deebo Samuel goes from one side of the formation to the other, undresses the coverage, so you know you've got man coverage before the look to the sideline.
And a false start.
Prior to the snap, false start, 63 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
This happened a couple of times last week versus Kentucky. The entire offensive line's pass setting or moving, and Donnell Stanley's just not ready to snap the football. You could see there the rhythm was shaken up a little bit because you see the umpire stood over the ball to give Missouri the opportunity to substitute. You're allowed to do that if the offense does so as well.
So now a 3rd and 11. Gamecocks have to get to the Mizzou 37. Scarnecchia will run it himself and dive out the 40-yard line. And Christian Holmes, who tried to deliver the hit, took the bigger blow between those two.
It looked worse, really, than I think it ultimately was, as you see South Carolina for the second time in this game in very similar field position scenario, going for it on 4th down.
And a timeout.
I didn't see who called the timeout. Is this another official's timeout?
All of a sudden, a driving rainstorm
looks like it's
approaching the Columbia area, and we've had problems already once today.
Yeah, the headsets look like they're out again on the Missouri sideline. As you see Barry Odom, these coaches don't take those headsets off for long. And so for the second time in this half, the Missouri coaches are without an ability to communicate with their coaches in the box. Now, the last time South Carolina did this on 4th down, it looked as if they were going to try to draw Missouri off sides. They've done it twice in this game already. They gestured. You see that a lot. It's kind of decoys, and then they ran a play. And we may see a very similar approach on this 4th down.
Gamecocks 5 of 10 now on the season on this down, have to get to the 37. Scarnecchia. Pumps, throws underneath to Edwards, 1st down. Thought about throwing to Rico Dowdle, who was covered up, and instead finds Edwards underneath to move the chains.
This is a phenomenal job by Scarnecchia. Ducks under the pressures to stay alive and keeps his eyes downfield quickly.
Rico Dowdle roughed up by Jordan Elliott after a pickup of 1. Can't say enough about the job Scarnecchia has done, given that he's never been in this position before, Matt. We've only seen him in mop-up duty throughout his career. Now 2nd and 9. And Dowdle game tackled inside the 30. Cale Garrett, first man to him.
Well, there's no doubt that he's done a phenomenal job, and it's beyond game management. He's done a good job, especially on that last down, of course. 4th down, do or die. Pressure in your face, you duck under the defender, and then you're able to release the football on time, on target, and get a conversion. He has been more than capable in stepping in his role so far.
3rd and 6. And it looks like Mizzou's offsides. Free play, and it's inside the 15, inside the 10 to Shi Smith. That is a 20-yard pickup from Scarnecchia to the sophomore.
On the defense, number 99. The penalty is declined. Result of the play, 1st down.
The 3rd time Missouri has afforded a free play. And I was just wondering where Shi Smith went in this ball game, and he shows up to get South Carolina into the red zone.
11th play of the drive. Scarnecchia one-on-one to Samuel, incomplete. Good defense by DeMarcus Acey.
You're trying to give your playmaker a chance. That ball was a little bit inside and a little bit underthrown. Good job by Acey. Got his hands up just at the last second to deny the reception.
Scarnecchia, middle of the field to Samuel. Touchdown, Gamecocks. What a drive by Michael Scarnecchia and South Carolina. 12 plays, including a big 4th down that he converted at the Mizzou 40-yard line, and it pays off with Samuel with the touchdown catch. Parker White now to make it a 2-point game.
Talk about an answer. You come out of the gate smoking in the second half. The defense got the ball back to the offense, and the Gamecocks are in the end zone again.
This Geico ad is intended only for people who grew up in the 80s.
Renting VHS tapes is dope.
So is saving money with Geico.
And their 24/7 access to licensed agents is totally fresh. Word.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
With Hulu, tailgating's never been better. Unlike the early days when all you had was a radio. But through the years, the experience got better and better. And now, Hulu's completely changed the game. Because you don't have to choose between tailgating or watching football live on ESPN. You can do both, no cable required. Hulu makes it so easy, the game will never be the same.
The ball's going to go to Deebo Samuel, who's right here down at the bottom of your screen. He's just going to run a slant. But watch Scarnecchia. They're going to blow Tyson Williams out of the backfield, and he's going to move Terez Hall with his eyes. He's going to look to the right and fake just a little bit, just enough. See Hall check up, and he's looking to the right. That's just enough window to jam that ball in there to Deebo Samuel for a score. What about Scarnecchia? He's done a great job in this game. 3 touchdown passes in his first start.
And we're not censoring part of the offensive line there. It's just there's some rain that has come down throughout this third quarter. Mizzou will get it at the 25-yard line to the studio and our friend Dari Noko. Alabama all over the Arkansas Razorbacks today. I know that you're really trying to search for progress, but looks like the Razorbacks have been fighting hard the last couple of weeks against Texas A&M and Alabama. Meanwhile, this one's turned into a dogfight.
Well, for the first time in this entire game, here in the second half, Missouri goes 3 and out. South Carolina marches right back for a score to tighten this thing up.
Crockett gets 5 yards on first down. And it really hasn't mattered who has carried the football so far for Mizzou today, Beatty, Crockett, or Roundtree.
You see them rotating, trying to keep those fresh legs. That has been the key, though, when Missouri has been able to move the football, and they have. But on the 3 stops that South Carolina's been able to get in the field, they were able to do a good job on first down.
This is Crockett again, first down, big hole, into Gamecock territory and free. Inside the 20. Stays on his feet, waiting for a signal, touchdown. If it stands, it's 70 yards.
Make sure he stays in bounds. It looks like he does. He drug his toe at one point, but it looked like he was dragging it in bounds. Talk about an answer. So you come out in the second half, and you're able to rip off a long run for a score.
That would tie the longest play of the year, as earlier this season, Mizzou had a 70-yard touchdown catch by Cam Scott.
Pretty remarkable balance by DeMaurier Crockett. J.C. Horn was diving at his feet. Watch number 7 for South Carolina as Crockett is trying to stretch his lead over the defenders. He takes a swipe.
And as you saw him take that swipe, Crockett's right foot
kind of drags, doesn't it?
It does, and it's, at least at the last glance we had, it looked like he might have come close to it hitting that white line, so I'm sure that's what they'll be taking a look at.
We were just talking about how Missouri keeps their backs fresh. Here we are in the second half. As you say, another look of Crockett's long run. As you mentioned, Taylor, after this swipe, watch his right toe drag.
And that right there, is that enough to overturn the call? That will be the decision that will have to be made up in the booth here by Doug Linebarger.
That's a great look at it. I don't see indisputable evidence that says that his foot is out of bounds right there.
I would agree with you. I don't, it's certainly you're looking so intently because you think there's a chance, but that's not enough to say irrefutably that you know he was out of bounds at the 11-yard line.
Of course, you can see the spoils of that philosophy. So you get Roundtree, Beatty, DeMaurier, Crockett, and if you do break one, you've got enough in your tank to try to hammer it home, regardless of what this ruling ends up being.
After further review, the runner stepped out of bounds at the 10.5-yard line.
Okay.
First down, Missouri.
Now we're 0 for 2.
Our version of what you can determine to be overturned is a little different, but certainly it looked really close, whether or not that foot was out of bounds. So that's a big call, because if Missouri, like 3 times prior in the red zone, is limited to 3 points, this is still just a 1-score game. So that's a 59-yard run for Crockett instead of 70 yards, and it'll give Mizzou the football just outside the 10-yard line as the rain continues to pour over Williams-Brice Stadium. And that's a false start. Albert O never got set.
That's twice.
Prior to the snap, false start, 81 on the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
And that's some of the mechanics that Derek Dooley's talking about. You know, Drew Lock's working with more shifts, more motions, and it looked like Okuwebanam, you see him, number 81, he was either early or he thought that he was going to motion across the formation. Either way, the second time now where we've seen number 81 early, and it's cost Missouri 5 yards.
Crockett, no place to go. Keir Thomas and company there to make the stop, second down.
And then extracurricular, there's a flag coming back out. You can see Keir Thomas. He's saying it's going to be against Missouri. There at the end of the play, there was a scrum. Thomas talking to Crockett. It's always the second guy, right?
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 16 on the offense. 15-yard penalty. The down counts. It is second down. That is number 16's first unsportsmanlike conduct foul.
The third unsportsmanlike conduct penalty in this game. The previous 2 were offsetting. Now, Keir Thomas is lucky because it looked like his arm was being held back. Otherwise, that's offsetting. Either way, DeMaurier Crockett, you got to show poise. Players are going to try to draw you into something like that. Get in your head a little bit, see if they can't get a reaction. They did, and now you're outside of the red zone. We just got done talking about how good South Carolina has been defensively, and now you've got second and forever to convert.
Locke will go for it all. Incomplete. He was looking for Dominic Jacinto, who was covered up by Jam Williams. And like you said, originally it was ruled a 70-yard touchdown run by DeMaurier Crockett, overturned upstairs, and they go from that ruling to now a 3rd and 30 just outside the 30-yard line.
Just a huge momentum swing there. You take points off the board. Say the ball carrier steps out of bounds. Back-to-back penalties, 20 yards. That's the hidden yardage that'll get missed. You look at the box score, and now you're backed up. 3rd, you can convert, but you're practically in the end zone. South Carolina's got almost the entire balance of the field to defend versus Missouri here.
David Smith, the referee, has gotten a lot of mileage running around in the 3rd quarter as both teams have had headset issues, given this driving rainstorm that the teams are all of a sudden playing in.
You got to consider the elements here too, of course. So if you take a shot at the end zone or the yards needed, maybe you run after catch, a defender slips down. If you don't make it, given that this has been a driving rainstorm, is the footing good enough? Do you trust your place kicker and Tucker McCann enough to come away with points?
Not functioning properly, both times will be kept on the field. There's 7 minutes and 57 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter.
The game clock seems to be an issue. Missed the first part of the, not sure if the shot clock is also frozen. It appears that it is.
And another false start on Mizzou.
False start on the offense, number 59. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
The second penalty on Case Cook. They called him earlier for a holding, and now a false start. 2 false starts, an unsportsmanlike penalty, and Missouri marching backwards. And of course now you have to be thinking, let's just chew up some of this yardage and see if you can't make it a more manageable field goal. South Carolina with an opportunity to make a tackle in the field of play, deny the end zone.
Mizzou has to get to Lexington for a 1st down, and they go nowhere. Javon Kinlaw.
Twice now in this half, Javon Kinlaw coming up big. He's been relatively quiet. He got a negative yardage tackle for loss earlier. He and Keir Thomas both
7:40 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
Working their way into the backfield. It's exactly what Missouri was trying to do. Let's just pick up yards, keep it in the middle of the field, and kick a field goal. And instead, Fatoni asked to try to pin South Carolina deep.
And he drops it, picks it up, and is tackled back at the 47. It was a good snap from Drew Wise, but Fatoni could not handle it, and Bryson Allen Williams was there to make the tackle. What a remarkable turn of events for the Gamecocks.
It's punt safe. They didn't even have a return man back. Fatoni can't field the snap, and South Carolina dodges a huge bullet.
There has seriously never been a better time to try our Sprint network.
Because our new unlimited plan essentially gives you more. It has Hulu and all the TV and movies you love and mobile hotspot.
We need to shout this deal from the rooftops.
Yeah.
Sprint's new unlimited plan, best deal ever.
And it's all on a network built for unlimited.
Switch to Sprint Unlimited for just $24 per month per line for 5 lines. Switch to Sprint Unlimited today.
You good?
Yeah. Alexa, turn it up. What's that?
Here's your reminder. Laura says the teething ring is in the freezer. Laura scheduled a play date for 3 p.m. I'm reminding you, Laura loves you, and you're doing a great job.
Monday at 7 Eastern, Thinking Out Loud is back with Greg McElroy and Marcus Spears. They'll talk football and want your participation via social media throughout the show. It's also available streaming live on the ESPN app. No doubt they'll talk about Mizzou's last drive, which was a comedy of errors after the touchdown was overturned. Rico Dowdle gets the edge. down the sideline inside the Mizzou 30. Khalil Oliver knocks him out.
Well, the running game was starting to nibble at the edges of the Missouri defense. Tyson Williams got going a little bit in the second quarter, and now Rico Dowdle getting to the edge.
But a late flag comes in, and it's a holding call.
Replay first down.
That goes against South Carolina.
Now we understand why they were able to get to the edge. Of course, in these conditions, we've already seen it was a bad snap to Corey Fatoni as Missouri was trying to punt the football away after going backwards on 3 consecutive penalties. That time, Brian Edwards just trying to block on the edge, get an explosive play. Receivers have to do that on the perimeter. Got too handsy and ends up backing up his offense.
So you mentioned the clocks. You see that we don't have any clocks on the screen. They're keeping time on the field with all the rain. The Dowdle just says, I'll go to the edge again, and he gets back into Mizzou territory, a pickup of 11 yards.
Sometimes what you see on a really wet field, one that's gotten a ton of rain, we've been seeing it ever since a couple of minutes left in halftime. It's advantage offense. Ball carrier knows where he's going. The route runner knows where he's going.
Dowdle follows that right side of the line again. And Cale Garrett makes the tackle. This is inside the 45. That's a first down for the Gamecocks. And Michael Scarnecchia, look at what's going on today with Scarnecchia compared to what he had done in his entire career.
Well, he's been saving it up. The guy's been pacing himself. And it has certainly come in handy today. He's played very well. You think back to that 4th down play. He ducks under the blitzer and is able to deliver a strike in traffic, on time and on target. Led to an eventual touchdown. As you see Rico Dowdle leaving the field injured after 3 straight carries.
He was flexing his left wrist. You see that brace that he's already wearing.
It almost looks like it was a shoulder injury. He reached over with his right hand. I don't know if he landed on the point of his left shoulder. They didn't take him to the training table.
So Tyson Williams comes in looking for space. And he is tackled at the 41 by Nate Anderson.
Challenge now, Missouri defense. You can't allow South Carolina to get going on the ground. Obviously, they can be dangerous as well downfield. We haven't seen a ton of shots taken. They hit Shi Smith on one. Debo Samuels come through. But those are both of those underneath throws and runs after catch.
Fake to Williams, middle of the field is open, and that's Edwards to the 30. 11 more for the junior from Conway, South Carolina.
You see RPO, ball fake, pulls up the linebackers. We asked Muschamp.
Tyson Williams is wrestled down by Kobe Whiteside after a pickup of a couple, and now another flag comes in.
Even before that, Kobe Whiteside threw. He ended up throwing a ball carrier, and Tyson Williams 2 yards downfield.
We have had all kinds of extracurricular activity after the play in the second half, and I think this might be the most egregious example.
After the play was over, unsportsmanlike conduct number 1 on the offense, unsportsmanlike conduct number 2 on the defense. Those penalties offset, be second down. That is their first unsportsmanlike conduct foul of the game.
So AC and Samuel. And Samuel looked like he tried to throw it right there. But both teams flagged for the penalty.
AC's got a handful of Samuel's face masks to start it off. But the thing is, and we talk about it, you can't swing at anybody. That's an easy thing for the ref to see.
Williams inside the 25.
There's all kinds of pushing going on now. And this is the second time now in this game where we've seen offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties earlier when Missouri was in the red zone, there was a single call, unsportsmanlike, on Demarie Crockett, cost him field position big time, but it is very chippy on the field right now.
Nate Anderson, a little hobbled there, the senior from Toronto, Canada. So he leans on a couple of staff members on what will be a 3rd and 4. The concourse levels are filled with South Carolina Gamecocks fans as it's been pouring throughout the 3rd quarter. And you see that late shove there that came from Dennis Daly, the left tackle. This game has gotten beyond chippy.
Anderson's leg was underneath him when Dennis Daly pushed him back. They're late. Both those guys tangled up. You see linemen trying to block to the echo of the whistle. Defenders taking exception to it. Back-to-back plays where both sides are playing after the whistle. They're not going to put up with it. Surprised a penalty flag didn't come out yet again. Rain starts to slow down a little bit. Center judge just trying to keep that ball ready for play.
So the last update we just got is that there are 5 minutes and 40 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. We've had some technical challenges today in the stadium given all of this rain that has come into the Columbia area. Both teams' headsets did not work for a while. It looks like they're going through some issues again on the field. As that storm sort of came out of nowhere and sent all the Gamecock fans running towards the concourse. They're still here. You can't see them in the stands, but I promise they are hanging out near all the, you see them on the overhang right there.
Yeah, and all these, you know, the circulars over here in the corners of the stadium, the fans are all stacked in there. That's like, it's like pseudo club seating. You know, you go stand under there, you don't get rained on. It's not a bad vantage point.
I'll tell you, all of our equipment is also
a little soggy.
Felt the precipitation today, and thanks to Andy and Wayne who work here in the booth, they have been working hard to make sure it stays dry. Let's go to a 3rd and 4 now for the Gamecocks at the Mizzou 25. Scarnecchia tries to set up the bubble, but nothing's there. It's 4th down. Chris Turner applying the pressure.
Good job that time. We saw South Carolina able to hit on a screen pass and get out of the gate.
5:24.
So we're reminded 5:24 left in the quarter. And Missouri able to turn away the offense, and it would be curious to see the snap hold battery here for the field goal attempt.
Parker White hasn't attempted one north of 40 this year. He missed from 38 last week. He's 4 of 12 beyond 40 yards. This from 42. And that one is straight down the middle. The Gamecocks lead for the first time today. Parker White, the sophomore from Mount Pleasant, South Carolina, puts his Gamecocks in front.
Thanks. It's like a smart thing. What's the weather?
Sunny. Perfect chicken eating weather.
How'd you get in here?
It's time for chicken.
What's the traffic like?
Rerouting you to chicken.
Okay.
Hey, Calzo, order pizza.
Ordering chicken.
No, pizza.
Chicken.
Okay, chicken it is.
Chick-fil-A nuggets make dinner delightful.
Now that's smart.
April 5th is National Read a Roadmap Day. You know what doesn't come with a roadmap? Your career. That's why AARP is here. Whether you're looking for your next job or just want to be happier in the one you already have, today is your day to make the most out of work. Take on today with AARP.
Welcome back to Columbia, where the rain has started to let up, but it has made a lot of difference out here. First of all, is the clock is not working, so the official is having to use an old school clock or a watch. Turn it on and off. Will Muschamp coming over constantly to say, what time is it? How much is left on the clock? The other big difference is what's going on the Missouri sidelines. They are constantly practicing catching the ball because they can't use their gloves. Whereas if you look at the South Carolina sideline, they're able to stay under an awning.
Beatty doesn't get to the 20-yard line, so all sorts of issues here in the third quarter, especially for the Missouri Tigers. For the last time they had the ball, initially had a 70-yard touchdown run by Demarie Crockett, but it was overturned upstairs. Missouri would get it a 1st and 10 just outside the 10-yard line. Several negative plays and a personal foul, and ultimately a dropped punt gave the Gamecocks position at midfield, and now have the lead for the first time today. 5:25 to go in the third quarter. Locke, sideline pass incomplete. He was looking for Jalen Knox, and J.C. Horn said no, sir.
Take a look at J.C. Horn coming back out on the field. It's an interesting point. It looked like that ball might have gotten tipped right at the line of scrimmage. Either way, interesting point that Chris was making about the gloves. Home field for South Carolina if they want to swap out gloves as they get wet. Road game for Missouri and nowhere to hide from the elements.
Hardest rain of the day is there's some confusion in the backfield with Beatty, and Locke will just slide down to protect himself. Beatty ran the wrong way and Locke couldn't find him.
It looked like this one might have been on Locke. Watch Locke, he reverses the wrong direction. Either that or he expected Beatty to be on his left. The true freshman more than likely was misaligned in the offensive backfield. Drew Locke clearly expected the ball carrier to be on his left. Barry Eldham knows Beatty, really talented kid, but it's early in his career, maybe a major misstep there.
3rd and 12. Locke trying to set up the bubble, intercepted, picked off, and it's a touchdown. Sherrod Green.
It's almost as if whenever it rains harder, things go better for South Carolina. It starts raining, and all of a sudden, it's been all Gamecocks this half, certainly this quarter. Rain picks back up. Things start to go badly for the Missouri offense, and there's the turnover. We've only had 3 interceptions for South Carolina this year. Finally, someone other than Rashad Fenton stepping up.
And this is like the world-famous scene in Caddyshack. I don't think the heavy stuff's coming down for quite some time. It has been pouring, and it has been a house of horrors for Mizzou in the third quarter. They led 23-14 when this quarter started.
That is the first unsportsmanlike conduct foul on number 5 and number 21.
Muschamp didn't like that call, but he'll take it. And South Carolina looks for their 17th unanswered point from Parker White, and it is through.
Great hold by Danny Gordon, it looked like right there. Take a look at the touchdown again. So here's Beatty. On the play before, he was lined up on the wrong side. This time, as he's trying to release, watch him slip. There's no way that he can get in front of this pass, and Sherrod Green, of course, has a free run to the spot. Drew Locke has no idea right there that Beatty's not going to come out of the scrum. A lot of times, you'll see the back enter the line of scrimmage. There's a bunch of bodies, and then they pop out late. You throw a really catchable ball, so there's not a lot of pace on it. Sherrod Green dropping back into coverage, reads the screen. There's no one to run through because Beatty's already on the ground. And number 44 able to get it in the end zone. Big play from Sherrod Green, who frankly has struggled so far this season.
So an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty is why South Carolina will kick off with Wozniak from their own 20-yard line, and Beatty is back there deep.
There is hail coming down now here in Williams-Brice Stadium.
Really short kick, and a fair catch is made at the 37-yard line. Mizzou will start there. Coming up tonight at 7:30, number 2 Georgia hosts Vandy in our SEC Saturday night matchup presented by Holiday Inn Express. Let's see what Cole Kublik has to say about this matchup.
Looking forward to seeing Justin Fields and the role that he continues to play for this Georgia offense. A lot of weapons. Jake Fromm's been good. Justin Fields brings a different dynamic. How much more involved in the offense will he be? Find out tonight.
Dogs and doors in prime time tonight. Justin Fields has looked good for Georgia. Meanwhile, here the rain has been as big of an opponent as South Carolina has been to Missouri here in the third quarter.
No doubt. And you look at this starting field position for the Missouri offense, and you understand why Will Muschamp was so upset with the unsportsmanlike penalties. He realized very real chance they were going to be giving excellent field position right back to the Missouri Tigers with only an 8-point lead. That's a one-possession ball game. A lot of game left to be played. We can't see it on the clock, but there's plenty of football left.
Looks like it's just under 5 minutes. Roundtree past midfield, breaks a tackle, and is free inside the 30-yard line, breaking another. Inside the 20 for the sophomore from Raleigh, North Carolina.
Before it was DeMarie Crockett, and now Roundtree able to pick his way through the South Carolina defense for the second big run in this quarter.
41 yards. Back in the red zone again. Roundtree, no place to go this time. It's second down.
You see, once again, this has been the hallmark of this entire game. Missouri able to move the football down the field, and then they get it into this area of the field, in the red zone area. The last possession, penalties undoing that opportunity after an overturned touchdown run. Now an opportunity again to narrow the gap. South Carolina taking the lead.
Roundtree. Inside the 15, it'll be third down. And to your point, they've had 6 plays today over 20 yards. But when the field gets condensed, they've struggled.
Well, credit South Carolina. Coming into this game, number 2 red zone defense in the conference. And they have certainly earned it in this game. It was what allowed that pick 6 to be the difference in the game on the scoreboard. Otherwise, you're looking at a Missouri offense that's piling up yardage, just not piling up points.
Check in the studio with Dari. Here, Dari, we're not completely sure how much time is left in the third quarter, as they're keeping it, as Chris Button said, by stopwatch on the field at the moment. And both coordinators have come down from the booth, given that the headsets were having issues. So Derek Dooley, the offensive coordinator, there you see him now on the sidelines. And we're being told that 3 minutes and 30 seconds are left here in the third quarter.
See headsets off on the sideline, communicating directly to his offensive players. Another big third down inside the 20-yard line. You see Roundtree in the backfield there with Drew Lock.
Lock, end zone, incomplete. And now the flag comes in, looking for Albert Okwebunam. And a late flag is thrown on Javon Charleston. The question is, was it catchable?
We talked about the mismatch that number 81 creates.
Pass interference on the defense, number 17. Ball will be played such a spot as a foul. First down.
See right there on the right side of your screen. You see Charleston's on his back.
3:07 remaining in the third quarter, 3:07.
Ball was, you can see why they would take a long look at it, because it was certainly out in front of Okuwebanam. As it is, a fresh set of downs for the Missouri offense.
Marked just outside the 2. The ball on the ground as he never got the snap, and it looked like Roundtree might have been the first person to it, and he is.
Colon Castillo came out earlier at center. When we talk about Drew Lock, doesn't spend a ton of time under center. You get down to the goal line, you're under center, your offensive center is not only snapping the football, he's trying to reach a nose tackle who is right over his nose. It's easy for that ball to hit the quarterback to one side or the other of his snap hand. That time squirts loose, and again, Missouri ceding yardage when they get down in scoring position.
Back to Roundtree, end zone, batted up in the air, incomplete. It bounced off of Jalen Knox as Charleston got in there again. Third down.
We'll credit the defenders for South Carolina, the 7th pass breakup in this game. And these are quick hitters. You've got to be twitchy. You got to come out of your break and get in front of the receiver quick.
And that was J.C. Horn who did just that. 3rd and goal. Missouri 2 for 6 in the red zone today, scoring touchdowns.
Here's Okuwebanam right here in the slot.
Looking at him. Middle of the field is open and complete. Alberto could not corral it. 4th down.
And once again, the red zone defense for South Carolina. 1st and goal. You get a bad snap and a couple of passes broken up. That ball out in front of Okuwebanam. It's a slippery turf. You got to put that one on your receiver a little bit tighter. Both throws with leading 81. The previous one drew a PI. That time, it just falls harmlessly to the turf. And Tucker McCann trying to wedge one through a deluge.
From 25 yards, and it's no good.
A season ago, South Carolina feasted on turnovers. They would find ways to get stops. And in this one, we talk about the field goals Missouri's coming away with. And because of the elements, largely, they come away with no points after having a 1st and goal to go on the 3-yard line.
Champ going crazy over there on the sidelines. One team has loved the elements, the other has not. Look at the total yards right now, Stinch. And Missouri coming away with no points on those last 2 drives. Garnecchia, Rico Dowdle. And Rico's ahead for 3.
When you think about it, you know, the first scoring drive, the touchdown for South Carolina, you get an unintended onside kicker, at least that effect. You get a pick 6. Missouri's just moving the football up and down the field, but just hasn't capitalized.
You see on the screen 2 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. High snap, Dowdle dives ahead to the 25-yard line. Be 3rd and 5 from there. Brandon Lee on the tackle. You and I are proud members of the Deep South, born and raised in this area. This is Category 3 like rain we have experienced here in the last 45 minutes.
It really is. It's been off and on, but it's been more on than off. And every time it picks up, it does seem to go poorly for the Tigers.
A reverse with Samuel trying to find space, and his athleticism gives him a 1st down. You just can't catch that guy.
It looked like he wasn't going to be able to get to the edge. Thought Cam Hilton, number 7 from Missouri, was upfield enough to make Debo bubble his run. Couldn't get back towards the line of scrimmage early and had to go deeper and deeper. 1 minute here in the third quarter was the announcement. That's a bold play call considering the ball handling it required and the elements that these teams are playing in.
Dowdle's got nowhere to go, and he's lassoed down by Jordan Elliott. That's a loss.
Jordan Elliott is a guy, you can see why Barry Odom is so high on number 95. He's flashed a couple times in this game. Once again, getting upfield, creating a negative yardage play. You can see how he's going to grow, continuing. Only a sophomore at Missouri.
Transfer from Texas, started his career there and is now playing in the Show Me State. Dowdle tackled by Cale Garrett. The extension of Barry Odom, and it's third down.
See, as Missouri subs in, Dowdle has run hard here in the second half. The pile has typically moved forward when he got the carries, and you see the players putting up those scores. The clock doesn't show it, but we're in the final quarter of this one.
Yes, we are, and the Gamecocks own the third.
You gotta ask yourself, what are you fighting for?
Adonis Creed has been challenged by Victor Drago, son of the man who killed his father.
I'm taking the fight. That's the same thing your father said, and he died right. Sting. You too.
They must win 50 for
quarter. Demarie Crockett looked like he ran a 70-yard touchdown in, but was marked out at the 10. Then he gets flagged for a personal foul. Corey Fatoni drops the punt. The Gamecocks get great field position. On the next drive, Drew Lock throws a pick 6 to Sherrod Green, and Tucker McCann just missed a 25-yard field goal. Gamecocks trailed by 9 points going into the quarter and lead it by 8 as they start the fourth.
And if you rewind to that touchdown or would-be touchdown run by Demarie Crockett, the score would have been 30-21 at that point in time. Up by 9, and instead you're down by 8.
Take to Dowdle. Scarnecchia wants to load up. Edwards tries to come back to the ball, and it's out of bounds. Second down. South Carolina has not allowed a point in the second half since Georgia scored 3 touchdowns in the third quarter. That's 6 straight second half quarters without yielding a point.
And if you want to put an even finer point on it, no fourth quarter points allowed since the opening week versus Coastal Carolina after they'd kind of called off the dogs. But you look at this field now, and there is puddles everywhere. The footing is going to be questionable. Makes it dangerous if you kick a fieldable punt right here.
So we'll see if Joseph Charlton is able to get this football. He has trouble with it, and it's blocked. Mizzou jumps on it, and that is inside the 25-yard line.
You got it. Second illegal formation call on South Carolina, of course, will be declined. Missouri coming after it. You know, before, Fatoni from Missouri didn't field it cleanly. That time, for sure, Missouri was coming after this kick.
As you see, it's Tavon Ross that blocks it. And then Journey Jones was the one that picked it up. And so Missouri has the football at the Gamecock 21-yard line.
Huge opportunity for Missouri here. We just got done documenting how well South Carolina has played in the second halves of ball games defensively, but a very short field to start this drive.
Roundtree has the edge inside the 15, near a first down at the 12. TJ Brunson on the tackle after 9 yards.
Big run once again by Roundtree. And in this half, the backs have been able to get loose on a couple of nice ones. That time able to get to the edge again. You want to make sure that you're playing clean football. That's something that Missouri has not done. Penalties and negative yardage plays have plagued them.
Drew Lock keeps it himself. Inside the 10, gets a block from Blanton, and he's out near the 2-yard line.
I think it's worked every time this year for Drew Lock. It worked earlier in this game. You see Bryson Allen Williams just crashing down from the edge on the would-be ball carrier. No handoff. Nice pull by Drew Lock. He almost always picks up the first in big yards.
Roundtree dives to the pylon, rides some defenders, touchdown. The rain stops and Missouri's offense starts.
You see Roundtree take the handoff. He tries to go up top. And somehow it's that second wave. You see Yasir Durant, Paul Adams getting in there for the final push. As you see Missouri, they're going to go for the 2 points here.
Early stages of the fourth quarter. Clock not working due to all of the weather that came into the area.
And Will Muschamp, he's trying to get the timeout. He's all the way down on the 5-yard line.
Timeout. South Carolina. They're first. This will be a 30-second timeout.
You had to know that they were going to go for 2 there, try to knock this game up.
Correction, there's 13 minutes, 54 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. 13:54.
Let's get a report on these conditions. Down to Chris.
Well, there are areas of this field, as you can see, that are starting to pile up, but you can't even take a step without it splashing up. Now, granted, I'm trying to run and I don't have cleats on, but still, every time these guys take a step or they try and make a cut, it's extremely slippery.
It's break out the snorkel gear. There's going to be some, especially some of these piles and puddles. Those refs are going to have to get guys out of the pile quickly for fear of drowning. Somebody's going to get stuck at the bottom of the pile and their face full of water.
It's unreal, that storm that came through the area in the third quarter, and it has left us and moved northeast. And now Mizzou will try to tie it up.
Here's Okuwebanam down here matched up against the true freshman, J.C. Horn.
That's where Locke is looking. Incomplete. So Missouri gets its first blocked punt in 3 years. It results in 6 points, but they trail the Gamecocks by 2.
I'm Adam, and I make robots. The new Surface Pro can handle all of my programs. I can paint, I can mold, I can code. I can take an idea from a sketch and turn it into a real product in one device. It's pretty amazing.
You got a project, you need a part. So you go to AutoZone.com. You find the part, you order the part. You choose free next day delivery, and you sleep. The next day, you get the part, and the job gets done. Free next day delivery from AutoZone. Available on up to 100,000 parts.
Well, good for them, because it was not a couple of weeks ago, and they went through a long weather delay. Our friends Dave Neal and DJ Shockley, unfortunately, and Dawn Davenport have had to deal with that the last couple of weeks. So I am pulling for good weather for our friends today in Oxford, as this one will be taken back near the 30-yard line by Kyle Markway. And South Carolina will start from there. Michael Scarnecchia making his first career start today, as Jake Bentley, as Will Muschamp said, unable to protect himself due to a left knee injury that he sustained last week in Lexington. Jake is dressed out today and did go through some of the warm-ups, as did DeCarrion Joyner, the third quarterback. But this has been Scarnecchia's game from start to finish, and he's looked strong.
He has. You know, it doesn't seem as if they ever really considered any type of a rotation. I'd been shocked, really, if Bentley had entered in this game. Hasn't been necessary the way Scarnecchia has played.
Tyson Williams looking for space, and he's going to lose yardage. Walter Palmore is there.
coming into this game, we talked about how much more physical Missouri was playing along both lines of scrimmage, but especially defensively. You could see it, their last time out versus Georgia prior to their bye week, their defensive front was much more salty this season than what we've seen before. Their 7th tackle for loss in this game.
Scarnecchia underneath, and Williams took his eyes off the football.
And Tyson Williams, usually a very reliable receiver out of the backfield. He knew what he had there was a turn and run. Going to have to field it cleanly and then get upfield, knowing that a defender would be closing. Job one is secure the catch.
13-14 left in regulation. Play clock and game clock being kept on the field. Scarnecchia, middle of the field, and it's stripped out to Marcus Acey. Great defense there on Brian Edwards.
Edwards is frustrated. Acey was right there. This is a well-thrown football. And Edwards had a chance to come up with that one. That's twice. You could see the frustration on 89. Had some issues last week versus Kentucky and a couple of times in this one.
Since the last couple of times we've seen both teams try to punt the football, but each punter has had trouble making the catch, resulting in the other team scoring touchdowns.
So Missouri might try to come after this one.
Charlton drops it again. He will try to run for the first down. He's got room and he fumbles the football, and the Gamecocks are on it. Shy of a first down. Missouri will get it right there.
Just shows the most important pass of just about any offensive possession. It's the snap. Even if it's a punter, you see Charlton doesn't field it cleanly, squeaked right out of his hands. He tries to advance it. It's blown up right there on the sidelines. And Missouri with great field position again.
Venice scribbling with the strip. Mizzou with the ball in Gamecock territory.
The XT5 reviews are in. Come in now and see the beauty of the XT5 for yourself. Get this low mileage lease on this 2018 Cadillac XT5 from around $379 per month. Visit your local Cadillac dealer.
Welcome back to Columbia, where the rain has stopped, but it caused the headsets to break, which is why you see offensive coordinator Derek Dooley down here on the sidelines. When I talked to him in the spring, he toyed with the idea of being on the sidelines, but said you just give up too much in terms of vision of the field, so he decided to go in the box. He said the reason that he would want to stay down is so he could look his players in the eyes, which he's been able to do right now. He was able to go to Alberto after the missed touchdown and say, it's okay, you've got the next one. And maybe in a time where Missouri needed that steady voice, he's been able to be down here and provide that for them.
Well, it's interesting to see him make that transition through the rain. Missouri gets the football at the 33 of South Carolina, and Crockett bounces off a couple of Gamecocks and ends up getting 5 yards as Montag makes the tackle. Now, they did review that last fumble and determined that Missouri did not commit targeting on that play. Otherwise, South Carolina would have kept the football.
Yeah, they looked long and hard, it appeared. Whether or not it was not only high, crown of the helmet to the head and neck area, and determined that it was not.
So for a 4-yard carry, again, it's Crockett on the ground. Following blockers patiently inside the 25. Keir Thomas on the tackle. It's 3rd and short.
Remember, Charlton.
This is the play that they were looking at, Stinch, to see whether or not targeting was committed.
They determined that it was not.
256 yards rushing for Mizzou today, a career high. Did they keep a season high rather? Did they keep it on the ground on a 3rd and 3? No, instead Locke will throw it to Albert. Oh, and he's tackled in the backfield for a loss. That's Stephen Montag with the airplane slide.
Great play by Stephen Montag. He triggers up. They bring perimeter pressure. Jamias Williams was blitzing from the slot. He was over Albert Okuwebanam. And Montag coming up. That's a big man that he's taken down in the open field. And a fine open field tackle by 22.
Drew Wise will snap it, and Tucker McCann will try to kick a 44-yarder. Good snap, good hold, great kick, and it gives Missouri the lead. Tucker McCann, just 3 for 7 over 40 yards this year, comes through. Tigers 32, Gamecocks 31. What a Columbia Bowl it's been at Williams-Brice.
Are you happy now? Are you happy now?
Before there could be a nation, there had to be people willing to fight for it, to take on the world's greatest challenges, whatever they might be. So the U.S. Army masters not only tactics and strategy, but also physics and chemistry. We make battle plans and create breakthroughs in medicine, science, and engineering. Our next mission could be anything, so we prepare for everything.
You always show up for your team, even if they don't. Hampton by Hilton.
SEC Network Football is presented by Allstate, reminding you that football season is mayhem. And in part by Academy Sports and Outdoors, the official sports and outdoor retailer of the SEC.
Brand new football facility that's being built as we speak that will be completed for the 2019 season. Beautiful facility right outside of Williams-Brice Stadium. McCann, a short kick, and this one will roll out of bounds, so Gamecocks will get good field position, and you see the clock is back. 11:01 to go in the 4th quarter. What did we do before cell phones? What did we do before?
Number 19 on the kicking team. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
What did we do before GPS and before we had a game clock on the screen at all times?
Well, Chris showed us. You get a shopping bag and a stopwatch. Keep it on the field.
South Carolina has been outgained by a wide margin today, but they have been opportunistic. Trail by 1 to the Missouri Tigers. Michael Scarnecchia in his first career start with 3 touchdown passes. It's Dowdle. Gets ahead to the 39-yard line. Missouri could not play in the rain as South Carolina outscored them 17-0 in the 3rd quarter. It stopped as we went to the 4th, and Missouri has scored all 9 points in this final frame.
And that's kind of been the story of the season for South Carolina, where there are this spurts of scoring. A 21-point quarter in the 2nd quarter for Kentucky, a 21-point quarter in the 3rd quarter for Georgia. You haven't necessarily seen that, at least not to that extent in this game so far versus Missouri.
Dowdle again, and he's ahead to the 41-yard line, and the fans want to see Scarnecchia air it out.
You can see what they're obviously trying to do. Now look, this is a 1-point ball game. Dowdle has done a good job, not only making a positive yard, but you want to make it 3rd and manageable if you can. You throw it on 2nd down there, it's incomplete, slick conditions, and you're looking at a 3rd and long.
Have to get to the 45-yard line. Scarnecchia throws a laser, and it's caught at the 49 by Brian Edwards.
I'm going to come right back to Brian Edwards. He's dropped a couple on 3rd down. This time, Scarnecchia comes right back to him. One of the best receivers on this South Carolina offense, and he comes up with the catch and the conversion here at midfield.
And you can tell he's a bit banged up. Cannot put complete pressure on that right leg. He has an ankle injury, but 5 catches today, 130 now in his great 3-year career. From midfield, Dowdle for 4 more. Perez Hall on the tackle as the Gamecocks get back into Mizzou territory. This series is 4 apiece. South Carolina has beaten Missouri 4 out of the 6 times that they have both played in conference together. Mizzou beat them before they joined the SEC twice. Gamecocks have won the last 2. Dowdle in 2nd and 5. First down, Gamecocks inside the 40 as Cale Garrett is there. As they ride Dowdle on 1st and 2nd down.
Well, you could see Missouri playing 2 deep safeties. It's a 6 defender box. South Carolina happy to take that matchup.
Doesn't get much here, maybe 2. He had -1 yard rushing in the first half. And now for the game, Dowdle has 55, so 56 yards rushing for the junior in the 3rd quarter and 4th, but no place to go there as Adam Sparks comes up to make the tackle.
You can see now, Ryan Walters, that time he brings a corner fire. C-14 coming from the boundary. Brian Edwards was pointing at him, cat, cat, cat. Here comes the corner, he's gonna shoot. He was able to get into the backfield, get a negative yardage play. On the previous couple of runs, you're playing a straight 6-man box. 6 defenders, you got 6 blockers. Gamecocks able to pick up yardage. Last couple of downs, Missouri attacking the line of scrimmage with extra defenders.
Scarnecchia, again a strike to Edwards. Did he complete the catch? He did inside the 30 down at the 28. He took a hit from Perez Hall.
He gets rocked. Look at the concentration. Clean play. Perez Hall dropping in coverage, and Brian Edwards gutting it out. As you mentioned, he's not full speed. He's had a couple of drops, 2 big catches already on this drive, and took a shot on that one.
Everyone knows that South Carolina will run it on 1st down, and Tyson Williams gets to the 25-yard line. Clearly, Will Muschamp and his offensive coordinator, Brian McClendon, are trying to be as smart as possible and limit the mistakes, even if it's too conservative for some of the fans.
Hey, look, I mean, you've always said, you know, if you have to punt the football away, that's fine. That's been dangerous. It's cost South Carolina points here in the 2nd half.
2nd down, here comes the big rush, and Scarnecchia is able to get it out incomplete in front of Edwards as Cale Garrett comes flying in there.
Watch 47 right up the middle. You see Rico Dowdle, he was checking over there to the edge pressure. They were bringing Perez Hall as well. No one accounted for Cale Garrett right in that A-gap, the gap right next to the center. You always have to be A-gap secure. Your protection has to be sound inside out. Scarnecchia lucky to unload that football.
The 11th play of the drive is a 3rd and 8. Here they come again, and it's almost intercepted. That was Walter Palmore that basically had possession of the football for a moment.
Walter Palmore, and he was kind of mush rushing because he was even engaged with Donnell Stanley. They were trying to get it to Brian Edwards on a shallow cross. Again, pressure up the middle. And Palmore almost came up with a turnover.
Parker White has made 1 from 42 yards. And now he's got another, and the Gamecocks are back in front. Snapping and holding in wet weather is a big deal. The Gamecocks did it perfectly, and Parker White splits the uprights.
What a game.
Number 7.
Time decision making at all the NFL throws. Drew Lock has done it. His completion percentage right now is up over 62%, up from the last 2 years where it was around 56%. If he maintains this pace against a schedule that gets a little tougher as we move forward, he will be, as I said, a mid-first round draft choice possibility come late April.
Yeah, good breakdown there by our NFL draft expert, Mel Kiper. Derek Dooley says that he has all the tools. He has to learn how to be a complete quarterback, though. Beatty tackled with flags coming in before the 20-yard line. Drew Lock needs to beat a big-time team, though, too. South Carolina on the road would be one of his biggest victories in his 4-year career as the starting quarterback in Como.
Illegal block in the back, number 11 on the receiving team. Penalty is half the distance to the goal. First down.
Let's get a studio update in Andari. I can't imagine how you feel. Here, everybody's on pins and needles too, as Mizzou has to start inside their own 10, and Roundtree gets the carry and will pick up about 3. Here, Thomas on the tackle. We talked about completion percentage for Drew Lock. Mel talked about it overall as it has continued to improve season by season. And today he's 16 for 31, though. Not exactly what he would want, with 1 interception that was returned for a touchdown. Here's his chance to drive Mizzou back and win this football game. Dropped by Jalen Knox.
Yeah, that's the question. You know, with Drew Lock, piles up yards, but you roll back to the only other conference game that Missouri has played versus Georgia. Completed 48% of his passes. Here today, now 16 of 32, albeit with a drop. Jalen Knox had a drop to start the second half, but looking to up that consistency.
He's only 2 for 10 in the second half, Lock is, with 2 yards passing and a pick 6. And here he is on a 3rd and 6 from his own 13-yard line. Sideline pass and a catch made by Cam Scott. Now at the end of the play, the Gamecocks sideline is saying that Scott fumbled that football. And the field judge says he did too. Jamias Williams was over there with it after Scott made an incredible catch.
Scott has the ball here. Keyshawn Nixon is the one who initially raked that ball out. It ends up being an interception. You see Keyshawn Nixon, did he ever control this football? And did the football ever touch the ground? It did not.
And was Jamias Williams' right leg out of bounds when he ultimately had possession? There are all kinds of things to consider here.
The ball's coming out right there. I don't think he had firm control to establish this as a catch. But you see the ball's just kind of resting on Jamias Williams while it looked like his right foot was already out of bounds. They're both raking that football out. If Cam Scott ever had firm control that would have established, yes, he made the catch, but regardless, Jamias Williams looks like his right leg or foot is already out of bounds by the time he can possess his football.
It did hit the ground, his leg, but by the time he had possession of the ball, it looked like his right leg was back up in the air. Well, there are 3 different possibilities here, and let's see what the officials have decided.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands of an interception. First down, South Carolina.
Ultimately, the officials decide, the replay official upstairs, that he did have control of the football, Stinch, before that leg appeared to be out of bounds.
The ball comes out, and it's sitting on Jamias Williams right there, and they're saying that he possessed it. Maybe it was as his cleat kind of drug to the right. It looked like it was just laying in his lap, and he didn't have control of it. Regardless, a huge turnover.
Now Scarnecchia wanted to take a shot, instead just throws it away.
He was looking to go for a double move at the bottom to the right of the formation to Brian Edwards. You could tell right there, big physical body, and he couldn't quite come out of that second break. Versus Adam Sparks. 89 is not full speed. He's made a couple of clutch catches, but he is not full go in this one.
Intentional grounding, number 12 on the offense. There was no receiver in the area. The quarterback was still inside the tackle box. Loss of down.
It was a delayed call. It was made by this officiating crew. Scarnecchia is, no question, still in the tackle box, barely moved. The argument from the Gamecock sideline is that there was some miscommunication between Scarnecchia and his receivers.
Wow. I don't know that I've ever seen a grounded call.
Let's go to the studio and get another update with Dari. Wow. How about that? That would be the signature win of the Tom Herman era if they were able to knock off the top team in the Big 12, Lincoln Riley in Oklahoma. Meanwhile, it's a 3rd and 18 here for the Gamecocks at the Mizzou 45. Scarnecchia seems a little confused as to what was happening there in the backfield, but throws a sideline route to Deebo Samuel to the 35, maybe even 34-yard line. It'll be 4th down from there. What do you do now?
Well, you see Scarnecchia, and as they send out the kicking unit, and you're right, there was some confusion prior to that throw. A big completion, to be sure, to get him into a comfortable field goal range.
So we did have to pull some of our cameras off of the field due to some lightning in the area. Unfortunately, not all of them at our disposal now, so they decide here to have Parker White attempt a 52-yarder. It's a fake. And it is not enough for a first down, as Bailey Hart, one of the backup wide receivers, took that fake, and it'll give the football back to Mizzou.
We're wondering, do you go for it right here? They send out what looks to be the kicking unit. You see Bailey Hart as the holder. He just pops right up. Cale Garrett, heads up play, able to get there in time, just enough to deny the conversion.
So Missouri gets it back after the turnover on downs, and here's another chance for Drew Lock to be a hero. Team down 2 with 4:06 to go in the 4th quarter. He is 2 of 11 passing in the second half for 2 yards and 2 interceptions. Rolls out wide open down the field past the 45-yard line is Barrett Bannister for his first catch of the season, and that goes for 18 yards.
Second or third time in this game where they've booted Drew Lock out and able to get a receiver downfield unaccounted for in the coverage. And now quickly, Missouri with the ball at midfield.
Lock under pressure dives ahead for a couple. Second down, Aaron Sterling in the backfield with him.
Bryson Allen Williams there almost immediately went for the kill shot on Drew Lock. Lock, big body, stays on his feet and was able to battle past the original starting at the line of scrimmage.
Crockett in the Gamecock territory. First down inside the 40.
Nice job by the Missouri offensive front. Second level blocking. Getting downfield, sticking and staying. Demarie Crockett pressing the hole and picking his way.
13 yards. The junior from Little Rock, Arkansas. 144 yards rushing for him today. And the team has run for 276, a season high.
They ran the football out of this formation before. There's 6 defenders in the box, though, right now for South Carolina.
Crockett again. He dings a defender inside the 30 as a flag comes in. It's Keyshawn Nixon that he ran over there, but this one's coming back.
They're going to get a hold. Looks like
holding number 59 on the offense. 10-yard penalty from the previous spot. Replay, first down.
Case Cook, he's had a tough day of it. From a hold standpoint, had 2 holding penalties now and a procedure trying to block TJ Brunson. But you've seen Missouri get in that formation before. They stack their 4 receivers as wide as they possibly can. Both times running into a 6-man box. That's 1 defender more than they can block. Picked up positive yards both times, but that time not without penalty.
Mizzou, the least penalized team in the conference, coming in today with their 10th there. They now have the football. Gamecock 48. The clock is continuing to run, but I would imagine that David Smith will fix that in just a moment. And while we wait, let's remind you that tonight after number 2 Georgia and Vanderbilt, the SEC Now team will recap all the games with highlights, analysis, interviews, and everything else. No one covers the SEC like we do. You can also see it streaming live on the ESPN app. And you just heard the bad news. Whether that happens has been reported within 10 miles.
And I handed it back to him when you're sitting around. He said,
you have missed or forgotten anything that's happened so far. 1st and 20 for Mizzou, and it's Crockett on the ground, and he gets back near the 41-yard line to Chris Budden, who I hope has dried out.
A little bit. I asked Barry Odom, when you have that momentum going into the lightning delay, how do you capture that when you're sitting around? He said, I'll tell you what, we put it in a bottle and I handed it back to him when we left the locker room. Let's see if they still got it.
Lots of rain throughout the 3rd quarter, and then that long weather delay here in the 4th. Crockett bulldozes his way straight ahead. It'll be 3rd down, Stinch.
It is so difficult to maintain that momentum. That's the big challenge, because Mizzou is driving right before the back-to-back lightning delays. And now you're faced with the 3rd and 10. The challenge was there was a holding penalty that forced it to be 1st and 20. They had to battle their way back to the original line of scrimmage here for this 3rd down.
And look at that today. Mizzou has struggled mightily to convert. Here come the Gamecocks. Lock off his back foot, incomplete. Stephen Montack almost had the pick. T.J. Brunson with the hurry of Locke there. It's 4th down.
Well, they brought pressure, and they want to make sure that they're getting to Locke, so they're bringing pressure in the interior portion.
And look at this. It looks like Missouri is going to attempt a 57-yard field goal from Tucker McCann, who is 1 for 2 from 50-plus yards in his career. He did kick a 50-yarder against Wyoming. And this one is good. Career long for the junior from O'Fallon, Illinois.
Wow, what a kick. There's some heavy air in this stadium. It's been raining, it's humid, and place kicking, punting has all been a challenge ever since the second half started. Tucker McCann, he pured it. And it couldn't have come at a better time for Mizzou.
He has really struggled, over 40 yards, just 3 of 7 coming into the game this year. But when it matters most, he drills that one to give Mizzou the lead, 35-34, officially a 57-yard field goal. 1 minute, 18 seconds left, and the Gamecocks will have 2 timeouts. There's Jake Bentley, not playing today with a knee injury he sustained in the 4th quarter last weekend in Lexington against Kentucky, as the Gamecocks drop their 5th straight to the Wildcats. Michael Scarnecchia has gone the entire way. McCann all day has tried to kick away from Debo, and this goes to an up-back Daniel Fennell, and he is just past the 30-yard line. So Scarnecchia, in his first career start, is 16 of 28 for 195 yards and 3 touchdowns, as you see Bentley come over to support the redshirt senior. Scarnecchia won the Harris Pastides Award for academic excellence, 3-time academic honor roll member, GPA award winner here in Columbia, trying to win the football game in his first career start. The backfield, Dowdle makes the catch. And that's good for 6 yards, as Tyree Gillespie was right there with him. We have an injured offensive lineman. Dennis Daly is down.
Yeah, Dennis Daly was down as Scarnecchia let go of that football. Big senior from right here in Columbia, South Carolina. There's been a relatively clean pocket to work from in this game. As you see, number 74, left tackle, left side of your screen, and he was injured almost right away. I don't know if he strained something coming out of this break as he was kick sliding in pass protection, because it looked like he was injured before contact was even made. Walking off under his own power, but looks like a lower body injury, like he might have strained something near his hip flexor area or something as he was trying to protect. Already, potentially the impact of that break being felt for South Carolina.
So Malik Young will come in to play left tackle, trying to protect Scarnecchia on a 2nd and 4, clock moving with 1 minute to go. Incomplete, short hops it to Samuel.
And he knew it as soon as he let it go. Scarnecchia didn't like it as it came out of his hands. He knew he had underthrown this football. The challenge, of course, so you're playing with 2 timeouts. South Carolina had to burn one when Missouri lined up to go for 2 on defense early.
3rd and 4. Rifles one for a 1st down as he finds his tight end, Keel Pollard.
Nice pickup that time by South Carolina. Left side of the offensive front, kept it clean, had a secondary blitzer coming.
Scarnecchia can't find anything, throws to the sideline, out of bounds.
At that time, Missouri only brought 3. Dropped 8 into coverage, blanketed the secondary. Nowhere to go deep. Looked like they were trying to take a shot. Scarnecchia just throwing it away towards Rico Dowdle. We saw Jake Bentley had his helmet on for the first time we've seen all game. Scarnecchia has handled this offense well so far this week.
Middle of the field is wide open, and it's Kyle Markway. Markway down at the 27-yard line.
You see Missouri, they showed blitz and bailed late, and Markway was wide open.
Almost intercepted as DeMarcus Acey had a play on the ball there as he covered up Deebo Samuel.
And again, pressure getting to Scarnecchia. That time Cam Hilton able to get home as Scarnecchia delivers the football. Lucky to maintain possession is South Carolina, but driving.
Well within Parker White's range here on a 2nd and 10, 26 seconds to go, but they're going the wrong direction as Kobe Whiteside makes the tackle. 3rd down. So with a timeout, let's go back to that long completion that Scarnecchia when he found Markway.
Well, Missouri was showing blitz in the middle. And Tyree Gillespie bails out, but he bailed out to the field side. They came right back to Markway. As you see Cam Hilton able to get there just in time. Keep in mind, K.C. Crosby is playing with about 5 broken bones in his hand. He's got a club. He's played in this game, but only in a blocking capacity. Jacob August out in this game. So it's been Markway, Kyle Pollard in this one, and tight end. And Markway, typically the blocking tight end, able to slip into the secondary for the big gainer.
So Parker White's career long is 47 yards, and they're just about at that range. He made one to beat Tennessee, helped beat Tennessee last year. Long this season is 36. 3rd and 11. Gamecocks with 1 timeout left and 22 seconds to go.
Timeout, Missouri, they're first.
Well, and you had to know that this game was going to come down to potentially anyway a special teams play, because we had a couple early on, bad snaps and punt game. Saw a couple of long kicks, especially in the conditions, and now it looks like there's a very real chance this game might end in a field goal.
We've had 4 lead changes all in the second half in this game.
It's pretty remarkable when you see just how much this game has seesawed, especially early in the first half. The story really was red zone attempts for the Missouri offense weren't capable of punching it in. As you take a look at Parker White and then Barry Odom on the opposite side, trusting his kicker, Tucker McCann, who striped one on their possession after the big lightning delay to put Missouri ahead for that final lead change.
So this a 3rd and 11 from the Gamecocks from the Mizzou 29. Empty backfield, Scarnecchia complete inside the 20, and that's Brian Edwards again. Edwards with his 7th reception.
Huge completion, obviously. Not only just to convert the 6, but as you mentioned, Taylor, to get it more in a comfort zone for a Parker White attempt, if in fact it's necessary.
The Gamecocks do have 1 timeout left here, but Scarnecchia at least initially was thinking he needed to run to the middle of the field. Will Muschamp ran over and
their 3rd
called that timeout. Now let's take a look at today's Capital One pivotal performance. Michael Scarnecchia in his first career start, 20 of 35, 249 yards and 3 touchdowns and some huge 3rd and 4th down completions.
I have been incredibly impressed, not only with the accuracy, because you see a lot of throws on target and on time, but just his in-game awareness, the moxie. For a guy who has as little playing experience as Michael Scarnecchia has, the big 4th and 2 conversion was huge, obviously, earlier in the game.
Parker White to beat the Missouri Tigers from 33 yards away. Then Asbury will snap it, and Danny Gordon will hold it. And Missouri will call timeout. White went with his father this summer to Nashville on just a summer trip to get away. And while they were there, White met with Ryan Suckup, the former South Carolina Gamecocks kicker who now kicks for the Tennessee Titans. And Suckup worked with White a bit on his craft to try to improve upon what was an up and down season last year as a redshirt freshman for moments just like this. Now White has a chance to give the Gamecocks a victory in the SEC.
You know, there was a missed opportunity before that timeout to center the ball. The clock was leaking down. South Carolina ended up having to take a timeout. They were not able to center that football, and now you're kicking from a hash.
Parker White from 33 yards, and the Gamecocks take the lead.
That makes 5 lead changes. I hope our friends at Capital One are happy with who we chose for the performance of this game. Because you can make an argument for Parker White. He's been pretty clutch, but Scarnecchia getting the football into position, and he has been dialed in for this game.
That big 27-yard completion on this drive when he found Kyle Markway. Markway, the only player from the state of Missouri that plays for the Gamecocks from St. Louis, and he has the big-time catch to help South Carolina take a 37-35 lead with 2 seconds to go. 5 lead changes in the second half.
Only 5.
A deluge in the third quarter, a lightning storm in the fourth that suspended play for over an hour, and it'll come down to one final play that Missouri will run from their own 33-yard line.
So here comes number 3. 2 seconds on the clock. Crazy things can happen. The guy's got a hose. There's no doubt about it. And they have length at receiver and at tight end. So you got big Albert Okuwebanam. He can get downfield at 4'6", 40. So he's got the speed, but he's also got the length.
Gamecocks have a couple of offensive players in their secondary, including Brian Edwards, as they try to end this game.
Usually you kind of roll out the pocket.
How far can Locke sling it from the 25? Incomplete. Gamecocks win. And one of the most dramatic wins you'll ever see at Williams-Brice Stadium, South Carolina wins their 400th game in Columbia.
It's kind of fitting that Brian Edwards, who started the game off, a couple of touchdown catches, key third down receptions, and he came over, as you see him limping, came over to break up that pass. And you can't say enough about the product out of Conway, South Carolina. They say TJ Brunson was the first guy Will Muschamp recruited. Brian Edwards was the second.
Will is with Chris Button.
Coach, in a game that pretty much saw it all, rain, broken headsets, a backup quarterback, how'd you pull this out?
Well, I'll tell you one thing, you can question a lot about our football team, but don't ever question our heart. And don't ever question our mental toughness. These guys fought their ass off, and I appreciate all the fans that stayed.
What can you say about the way that Michael Scarnecchia performed today?
It was outstanding. A 1-minute drive to go win the game, that's what it's all about. But we put our players in those situations all the time in practice. He responded the right way.
Coming off the couple losses that you have, there was a big smile from you when Parker White made that field goal. How does this one feel for a team right now?
Well, it's a great victory for us. We faced a lot of adversity, something we haven't necessarily handled the best way, but our guys fought their butts off. I'm really proud of their effort and then just the resolve this football team has. It says a lot about the culture of our program and the discipline of our program.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you.
You can tell that man has taken a lot of shots, but he has got a lot of pride, and his team backed him up with a backup quarterback today. Let's send you back to Oxford, Mississippi, and Dave Neal.